Oh, Wendy Bell Radio is live. You can't stop blinking. What is it?
Hey, how's everybody doing? You know what? This just in. Brock's mugs sold out. Oh, look how uncomfortable he is. It makes me so happy inside. That was 3 orders we had to make. Is that great? That's great.
You're under 50.
That's great. I am so happy. You guys, I want you to know, I know there's a lot going on in the world, and we're going to talk about it. I'm no geopolitical expert, but we have a little bit of common sense, and we can see things and how it relates to what's going on here in America. Hey, Murtak, right to the stream again. How are you, babe? Good morning or afternoon. It's nice to be with you. We spent the weekend talking about different things that we can introduce probably in the next, hopefully 5 or 6 weeks, maybe sooner than that, but a really cool top for women that I love.
For the ladies.
That we're going to try to do.
For the ladies.
And then a little something for the men. So we've got you on the mind. And we're constantly trying to get rid of our inventory so we don't have to lug it around with us.
And we're also talking about stickers, because a lot of you guys have mentioned stickers, so that
sticker to me sounds like Hello Kitty puffy ones
but they make
that
them
I
now,
had
so
on
you
my
put them
5th
on
grade
like
notebook. Does
tumblers and stuff like that.
Does it go on your car? Does it go on your stuff? Like,
that's what we'll have to figure out. I know, please.
Decals, not stickers, right? Or is it both?
They've asked for both.
Okay.
But
yeah. You guys go ahead. Just absolutely bombard him and complain that you don't have what you want.
Yes.
So what's everybody
Be part of the many in my life.
How are you guys feeling about what's been happening over the weekend? We talked about it a little bit yesterday, just for an hour. And I see a lot of parallels, and I'm not seeing a lot of people connect the dots of the parallels.
No.
There's so...
I knew as soon as you brought it up, I'm like, oh, yeah.
I was like, it's really odd to me that I'm not watching the media not just talk about what's going on now or lie to you about what's going on to somehow propagandize you or persuade you to feel one thing or another, right? Just give me the facts. Who do you trust? Give me the facts. That's it. There's nothing we can do about it right now, but give us the facts. But the parallels between what's going on with this operation against Iran, against their regime, and really the bombs that are being dropped on the deep state. I mean, I'm telling you what, it's crazy. It's crazy. And they're running totally scared. Iran has no leader right now. Neither does the Democratic Party. And they don't have a bench. Neither does Iran in terms of its hierarchy. They were all wiped out. Right? And so now whomever is going to emerge from the ashes, whether it's the exiled crown prince or someone else
who hasn't lived there in 47. My problem with that, he hasn't been there in 47 years.
You haven't been there.
And that the media is really pushing him.
Yeah.
That it makes me go, wait a second.
Right? So, what I like about this show today is that you're going to hear some explainers. You're going to get a little bit of education, because I did. I don't understand all the difference between the Sunnis and the Shia and the Houthis and the blah, 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 and the religious stuff and the blah. I don't. Like, there's a degree of that I don't. But I do understand when it's broken down to me. It's like, well, here's the deal. And I'm like, why doesn't everybody just say that? Because it's complicated.
I'll say it. I'm Islamophobic, maybe. The Muslim faith does not fit the worldview right now.
No.
This radical Muslim does not fit.
And the infiltration
even
of these
the
people into
world.
our country.
The UAE, the Saudi Arabians, they don't like them either.
The guy who's on his prayer mat inside the Shell station cubicle when I'm trying to fill up my car.
Dearborn, Michigan, hearing call of prayer. New York City, them praying in Times Square.
No. No. Get out.
Yeah.
No.
I don't want you having mass there. I don't want you
more than I want to see 2 gay dudes without pants on walking down the street or riding unicycles.
In a parade, yeah.
And we saw that too. So, or a guy with breast implants taking off his top and going at the White House. I'm a kind of basic person. Some might call me prude. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I guess I fit that category too, because I don't want to see the gay parade.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. And
I don't care.
No. But they want to, the shoving it in your face. The Muslim stuff in
I
your
want to be
face.
equal, but I want to be treated different.
The mosques all over the place and taking over the Somalis taking over a community. Like, I'm sorry, but no.
Negative.
No. So we'll see. Very simple question I'm going to start with today, though. It's great to be with you. Look at that. We're breaking the internet. 2,400 people and counting.
Breaking the internet.
74 on X. Who knows what they're...
Fox News alert, Wendy Bell Radio, breaking the internet.
2,417 people. Sheila, thanks, Phil.
Let's go live to Wendy in the studio. At the big board. Wendy at the big flag. What do you have to say about this, Wendy?
That we're live. There we go. Mm-hmm. Oh.
Your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello and good afternoon, America. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program, wherever you are listening or watching from all across the beautiful fruited plain. My Lord, what a glorious time to be an American. If you're new to the program, wendybellradio.com is how you can watch and join the live video stream the entire time. And if you're on the radio, I'm so delighted that you are tuning us in. You can follow along on our podcast, Wendy Bell Radio, wherever you get your podcasts. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about what we know, what's happening in the Middle East, what we don't know, and whom we trust, because that is all that it boils down to. Whom exactly do you trust? I have my answer. Think about yours. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, there are a lot of people out there who are trying to tell you what is going on in the world, what this president and the Secretary of War and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, what they're all about, what the objective is, what their ideology is, what the end game is. And I'm going to just encourage you, as I encourage my own children, be wary of your sources. Be careful about whom you believe. Because the guy I believe is Donald Trump. And I don't say that as some sycophant right-wing MAGA extremist cheerleader sympathizer with conservatives or with this president. I say that to you as a mom who can smell BS a mile away. And I've not gotten anything from this president that has led me to believe that he is not telling us the truth. He's been very clear. He was very clear from the very beginning. No nuclear weapons for Iran. He got out of that Iran nuclear deal, and people were like, whoa, think about the people before him who gave him pallets of cash or eased sanctions, yes? Or gave them uranium or what have you. You have a president who gave them hell. And today, 49 members of the hierarchy of the regime in Iran is dead, are dead. They are gone, and there is no bench on their team. Gone, obliterated. President Trump calling or speaking with Brett Baer at Fox News. I just saw Brett Baer briefly talk about it on the air. And he said to the president, give me, what are the details here? What was surprising? And the president said they did not expect to be hit during the day. They were expecting the secrecy, the darkness, the confusion of night. And we got these supreme leader. We got all of his henchmen and all of the underlings, 48 of them, plus that Ayatollah. Yes? And we blew them up as they were having breakfast. Game over. And that was just the beginning. Whom do you trust? I trust President Trump. I trust Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. I trust General of the Joint Chiefs Dan Kane. I trust the United States military. And I believe the message that this president didn't just send to the Middle East or to the rest of the world should probably be heard loud and clear here in America by the deep state. Because the same thing that's going on in the Middle East right now is happening with you. And we're going to get into that. I want to have a little bit of sound here. And it was interesting because I was following along peripherally when things like this strikes on other countries, this president taking unprecedented military action. Again, a 37-hour round-trip mission, the sortie mission with the B-2 bombers, precise, scrambling, Space Force and cyber teams scrambling the airwaves, not dissimilar to what they did in Venezuela. Same sort of operation, same lethal results, and it continues now. A clear, devastating, and decisive mission. Period. This is how Trey Yingst, he is the Fox News reporter who managed the breaking news. Breaking in with the news of the strike, Israeli intelligence was able to infiltrate the Iranian power structure. And after that happened, it was up to the United States and bombs away.
Fox News has learned from a senior Israeli security official. Israel assesses that more than 40 senior Iranian security and regime figures were killed in strikes during the opening operation that Israel launched this morning with the United States against the Iranian regime. This official goes on to say this is one of the largest regime decapitation operations conducted in modern warfare history, and that Israeli intelligence managed to infiltrate the Iranian security echelon, making the strikes possible, this official explained. But again, this news just coming into us, we were able to confirm it, that a senior Israeli official telling Fox News more than 40 senior Iranian security and regime figures were killed in the opening strike this morning. And John and Sandra, as you can hear on our phones here, and we're going to stay here. Our security is giving me the nod to stay here. Tel Aviv is under a significant attack right now. And again, this news breaking that Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, has been killed. We are now reporting exclusively that 40 senior regime figures were also killed in the strikes. The Iranians are going to try to target as much of Israel as possible, and that's exactly what is happening right now.
And if we branch out even further, let's think about what this means to Russia, what this means to China, what this means to the oil transportation through the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to talk about that because it is a pivotal player here. Trump did something huge by giving this mission, Operation Epic Fury, the green light. He exposed the true weakness of the deep state globalists and the corrupt foreign policy establishment. And they are slithering here in our country. You're going to hear from some of them coming up. First, this is the sound of celebration in the streets of Los Angeles as people come out of the woodwork with American flags, Iranian flags, and Israeli flags. Amazing. one area singing the old national anthem of Iran. Listen to this young woman praising America, praising its president.
Finally, President Trump. Thank you so much, President Trump. We love you. Completed this. Thank you, God. Thank you. God bless President Trump. And we are just so excited to see what the next steps are. No matter what it is, anything is better than the current dictatorship. And he's dead. He's gone. Thanks to Donald Trump. Thank you so much. We love you.
And the sounds of celebration in Australia and Canada, the UK, Switzerland, Germany, and France. Listen. Now, the left, the deep state, the Democrats, and the rhinos, they're going to try to tell you that the sounds of millions of people in Iran and across the world, that you shouldn't believe that you shouldn't trust that shouldn't have happened, that the president went beyond his powers. Trust the people, ladies and gentlemen. 47 years. How many people murdered? How many people terrorized? How many people silenced? How many people tortured and buried? How many? President Trump gave Iran every detour, every off-ramp, every possibility to end this diplomatically with one condition: you will never, ever be able to develop a nuclear weapon, period. And Iran said, suck it. So on whose side are we? Well, there is something a little unsettling going on out there with the youngest generation. Generation Z, I'm afraid, is extraordinarily distrusting of Israel, extraordinarily distrusting of Jews, and distrusting of this relationship between the United States and Israel. And I'm concerned that as the largest voting bloc in 2036, that's what they will be. The youngest voters now will be the majority of America's voters. This president better make a connection with this youngest generation real fast and explain to them that it's not he, it is not we on the right who have made things so ridiculously untenable. But you know what? Before you throw stones, young Americans, pay attention, because you're about to experience the dawn of your new day. President Trump calls it the golden age. Why don't you believe him? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Operation Iranian Navy Decimation. Yeah. President Trump says the weekend military strikes on Iran obliterated their entire Navy. Are you kidding? Let's go next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff I'm seeing out there online. Young people, they don't understand. These are the people who are pro-Palestine. These are the people who are groomed in college or influenced by people like Nick Fuentes, maybe don't have all the answers because maybe they haven't been out there living enough. It's very concerning to me. Just saying.
Wait, that's old.
What?
What I just sent you.
Oh, you know, I don't lie to you. I've told you that from the very beginning of our relationship, and I think that's pretty much what you already know. And I know how precious that trust that you and I have with each other is. And that is why I really need you to hear me when I talk about buying gold and silver from Texas Bullion Exchange. And I'm thinking now is a pivotal time for you to investigate this. You know, I had no clue about precious metals investing at all. I had no idea what it was all about until I sat down and I legitimately spoke for an hour with the guys there on my team. And they told me that the dollar has lost 90% of its purchasing power since we left the gold standard in 1971. 90%. I mean, that's crazy. That means holding on to cash right now is a total dead end strategy for retirement. It's not going to do anything for you. Gold and silver, they're very interesting. Their value is always going up. In fact, gold has gained over 7,000% in value since America got off the gold standard. So with Texas Bullion Exchange, and you can get there by going to wendylovesgold.com, I've locked in the value of my gold and silver with their principal protection program, which means when I'm ready to sell, whenever that is, I'll never sell for less than I paid for it. That is their promise. I promise I won't lie to you. They promise they'll protect you. Texas Bullion Exchange at wendylovesgold.com, 855-927-5557. Jot the number down. This is a very interesting time to be an investor in precious metals. wendylovesgold.com. How you doing? How's everybody? So it was very interesting seeing some of the reactions, young people, and I'm like, what? Okay, look, I'm no wizard when it comes to world politics, but I'm pretty sure we can all see what's going on here. And a lot of people, young people, are like, well, you know who didn't sign the nuclear proliferation treaty? Israel. You know who did? Iran. And I was watching this on social media, and I'm like, what does that tell you? That Iran is good at lying? I promise we're not going to develop a nuclear weapon. And then also, I think it would have been prudent for the president to come out and be like, you know what? We thought we had gotten it all back in June. We didn't, or whenever it was. That wasn't June. It was this winter. Well, we're also hearing that the head of Hezbollah has been killed in Beirut. It looks like the U.S. death toll here is now 4. And obviously, our ideas, our thoughts, I'm not going to say thoughts and prayers because it's beyond that. Sacrificing yourself for the betterment of the world. I'm not so sure I have words for that. President Trump said he was joyful in that the United States had sunk 9 Iranian naval ships and largely destroyed the Iranian naval headquarters. Other than that, he said their Navy is doing very well. President Trump Sunday posted an update on the situation in Iran, trolling the Iranian Navy after U.S. forces executed strikes in Iran that killed dozens of top officials and the Iranian supreme leader. I mean, that I even just said that is just so amazing. And there's a gentleman who's going to come up here in the moments ahead, who I think the voices of people who are from there, who've left Iran, or whose families did, so that they could be born in the United States and not go through what Iran has gone through. They're so telling. It's so reaching of you. Trump then trolled the Iranian Navy, writing, other than that, their Navy is doing very well. I've just been informed that we have destroyed and sunk 9 Iranian naval ships, some of them relatively large and important. We're going after the rest. They will soon be floating and then dropping to the bottom of the sea. In a different attack, we largely destroyed their naval headquarters. And again, other than that, they're doing fine. He warned them. He told them, he said, we're going to meet with you. Which ways can we do this? They didn't listen. They lied always. They went behind everybody's back. They worked on deals with Russia, right? Who was supplying Russia with their drones and with some of their missiles? Yes, that would have been Iran. Guess who's not going to be getting those drones now? President Trump, with this strike, has now squeezed Russia. I'm sure Ukraine is watching closely. This gentleman, a young man, Iranian man, brought to tears over being able to take his father back to his homeland to see it one more time before he dies.
The Ayatollah Khamenei has officially been killed by the U.S. in assistance with Israel. Thank you, President Trump. I've believed in you from the start. I had the faith. I knew you could do it. I've got some beef with Netanyahu, but I do appreciate their assistance in this operation. I was raised to believe that it is indecent for a man to celebrate another man's death, no matter how evil. So I shall not celebrate Khamenei's death, for now his name shall never be spoken of again. He is history, he is gone. But I'm at a loss for words, because guess what, guys? Never in my lifetime did I think I'd see a free Iran, even with all the fighting. And now, I get to take my paralyzed father home to his true home, the home he recognizes before those terrorist monsters took over. My family there will be free. They can live their lives. For a man who's struggled to believe in God his whole life, thank you, God. Thank you, all of you who have supported us. Without you, this would have never been possible. It was your views, your shares, your comments. God bless all of you. I love you all. Thank you.
I heard a gentleman this morning on the radio say that 90% of Iran is celebrating the destruction of this regime, the death of the Ayatollah. 10% do not. And that is going to be very dangerous and very tricky for the next leaders of that country. Because it's like having, in a country of what, 80 million, 90 million, you have 9 million of your countrymen and women who are not on your side, who do not want change, who do not want a difference. These are the people who are going to be getting in the way. How different is that from what is going on in America? How different is the toppling of an axis of evil? If you think about, well, we'll think about Iran, North Korea, China, Russia, this whole axis of what? Power, control. They want nothing more than to see the United States destroyed, her borders overrun by foreigners, people who do not look like you or myself, people who do not worship or feel the way we feel. How is that different than what is going on in America with the left and the deep state? If they're not paying attention to what this president is doing, and they are, which is why the knives are out, and Trump has forced these people now to once again make the wrong choice. 90-10 decisions, Democrats and the deep state will choose the 10. They show you every day what they're for. And it is for their own selfish self-interests. It is not for the team. It is for their individual gain. And Trump is forcing them out to prove it. Democrats don't have a bench. They don't have a candidate. They don't have funding, much like what Trump did to Iran, to Venezuela with the takedown of Maduro. He's creating the roadmap, and the deep state is watching it. And they're cornered. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about this, the world responding to the extermination of evil. We'll kick it off with John Fetterman next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. No, I'm not getting him live. No. But we will play just 20 seconds of him, and it's just common sense.
Who?
It's just common sense. John Fetterman.
Oh.
I made it sound as though we were going to go to him. Think about this.
We are. Soundbite.
Think about all the things that are going on. All of this is, a lot of this is over oil, of course.
Energy.
What do we have underneath our feet? What did Joe Biden do? He shut it off. Shut off the pipeline. Shut off the access. Shut off drill, baby, drill. Made us dependent on other countries. It's almost like there was some exchange of money going on that was purposeful, right? And we have a president who's like, well, we're self-sufficient. We have everything we need here. We don't have to be bringing it in from other places. And now you're forcing Russia, you're forcing China to get their oil on the free market, on the open market. Good luck with that. They were used to getting it at quite a bit of a discount. I don't know.
Here's some military aid.
Then there's that. So we'll see. What do you guys think?
I think the world's safer.
I do too.
You know, and I was telling Michael this is bigger than just Israel. So whatever beef people have with Israel or whatever your thing is with Israel, the UAE is against Iran. Saudi Arabia is against Iran.
Mm-hmm.
All these places over there that are also allies of ours want to bomb, want to wipe out. They are against radical Islam. And to put this to step back and say, this is all about Israel, blah, blah, blah. It's not. It's Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Strait of Hormuz when we come back. I want to tell you guys, I'm super geeked. We've got Ghost Bed all this week. Okay. So is it ever a great time to need a new mattress? No, because you're probably waking up stiff, grumpy because you haven't gotten a good night's sleep. We just replaced Michael's mattress with a Ghost Bed at our house. And thank goodness, because before it was like, and you'd never get a good night's sleep. You wake up miserable. And that's kind of usually the moment where you're like, all right, honey, we got to go do it. This is an affordable, but super, super interesting brand. And I want to tell you about my Ghost Bed. First of all, it's a hybrid. This is called a hybrid. So when it comes in a box and it's wrapped in plastic. And then you open up the plastic and then it kind of expands for you. I let it sit there and expand for several hours before Jack and I, before we touched it or anything. Just let it get its shape. You'll notice something striking about it. It's firm. How it became firm while it was wrapped up, like rolled up in a cylinder, I don't know. But the top of it fluffs up. So there's this nice like little cloud on top, but the base of it is firm. That's how I like. That's how I sleep. Their beds are engineered. These are engineered sleep systems. The guy who created this company is a man with terrible neck and back problems. He had to go out and really create his own mattress so that he could sleep comfortably. And when he did, and it took a while, he's like, you know what? Other people need to have this too. Ghost Bed is all about giving you 101 nights to try their mattresses. And if you don't like it on night 100, send it back to them. They will take it back and they will refund your money. That is their guarantee. I love that. They have their lowest prices of the season now, but because this is a new campaign and because I think they really like you guys, they're going to give you an extra 10% off. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. Use my name, Wendy, as the promo code. You're going to be very pleased with the pricing of these mattresses. And they have other things there as well. Right? They have mattresses for RVs, for campers, for things like that. They are a very interesting company, and I'm completely geeked. They were like this, sending me one. Ghostbed.com/Wendy, promo code Wendy, lowest prices plus an extra 10% off and a 101 sleep night guarantee. Now imagine that with Cozy Earth sheets. Yes. You'll never leave your house. Be like, no, I don't want to go out. Can we eat in bed? I've never done that. Have you ever eaten in bed?
I always have like water or something next to me.
Yeah, but that's not eating. You're not like sitting there eating Chips Ahoy or something. No, I've never understood that.
I'm going back and forth with Michael. I told him I think his generation is soft.
They haven't done anything yet. You haven't done anything. That's my rub with I've had to reinvent myself so many times, it's not even funny. I could have been like, the world is stacked against me. The deck is stacked against me. I'm never going to make it. Screw so-and-so. Forget that, blah, blah, blah. I give up. Or I can be like, oh, yeah? Well, what am I going to do? What's my role in fixing this? What kind of a position do I play? Or am I just going to sit back and point fingers at everybody? I don't know. I tend to get busy. I get angry and I get busy and I get active. So I can't wait for this young generation, which I have 5 of them. I can't wait. I have great faith in this generation. Don't bitch. Go do. It's going to create
Yeah,
waves.
drink from a hose.
It's gonna create waves, but you know.
All right. We got to calm Wendy down.
No, I see what's at morning hours on Saturday as those B-2 bombers were making that mission. 37 hours. A lot of people were armchair quarterbacking when they woke up. A lot of people think they know what's going on. I haven't the foggiest notion what this president knows. But he knows enough to say now is the time. Now is the time to destroy the head of one of the snakes of darkness. Now is the time for the Iranian people, after the dust settles, and it's going to be a little while, to go in and to rise up and to take back their country. This is what America did. In 2015, June 16th, Donald Trump became the #1 enemy of the deep state because he had the audacity to suggest that he could do better. And that was a threat. He was a threat to everyone, not just to Democrats, not just to Hillary Clinton, not just to the bureaucracy, not just to same old, not to the same old business as usual, but to the entire world. Do you think he knew? Do you think he knew what he was stepping into when he came down that escalator? I do. I do. I want you to hear John Fetterman. Again, the voice of reason, celebrating obviously as a friend, an ally of Israel, as a Jew himself. This is a big day. This is something we should all be able to get behind. It's sort of like standing and applauding a little girl who's struggling with permanent brain damage after a tractor trailer driven by an illegal alien let in by Joe Biden's auto pen and given a commercial driver's license by Gavin Newsom, who's allowed to barrel into her and forever change her world and basically walk scot-free. See, you should be able to stand and to applaud that young girl and to wish her everything. And John Fetterman, even after the State of the Union, said, my party can't do that. Well, his party couldn't applaud this either.
What I can say is that why can't we all just celebrate what happened today? That was just profound and incredible. And as you pointed out, as the president did, this was one of the most evil people that ever lived. And after 37 years in Iran, he's been eliminated.
Right? This should not be complicated. This should not be a partisan thing. This is, yes, go team. Britt Hume, the senior political analyst over at Fox, who tends not to be a supporter of President Trump by and large, says senior political analysts say Trump's actions on Iran to absolutely pulverize their nuclear ambitions and kill the evil leaders who terrorize their own people now has Democrats caught in a trap, and caught they are.
The public reaction is likely to be favorable, and I think these Democrats are kind of trapped because they exist in a party whose membership overwhelmingly despises Donald Trump. It's been called Trump derangement syndrome, and there's something to that. And the result is that these Democrats, with rare exceptions, John Fetterman today, of course, was the one we just heard from, are opposed to this because they feel they must be, that they feel their job in life is to resist and oppose Donald Trump in every way, almost no matter what he does. So that, I think that accounts for the political reaction on the Democratic side here. Now, over time, those who are critical may feel vindicated if things start to go badly, but if they don't, they're going to be stuck with this. They're going to be the people that it will be argued were didn't want to take this evil Iranian regime down. If the Iranian regime goes down and things turn out well in Iran, that will be a burden around their necks.
I misspoke. Beg your pardon, John Fetterman, not Jewish. So there's Britt Hume saying, you know what? Democrats now, because they oppose everything this president does, they're forced to oppose this. But yet when you look around the world and you turn on the television and you flip through the channels or you scroll through your social media feed, the people are celebrating. The people are crying. A young man is brought to tears because he can take his handicapped father to his homeland, right? So whom do you believe? One more time. Speaking of traps here, Senator Chris Murphy walking right into it, this time siding with Iranian terrorists over Trump and America, and it is an ugly look. Listen.
Nobody in this country is asking for war with Iran, just like months ago, no one in this country was asking for war with Venezuela. This president is intentionally tanking our economy. He's the most corrupt president in the history of our nation, and Americans want him to focus on the crises here at home. Instead, he is busy getting us involved in quagmires overseas that already are becoming deadly to American soldiers. This is a disaster. It is illegal. And the president is obligated under the Constitution to come to Congress and ask for an authorization of military force. He wouldn't get that authorization if he asked for it. Congress wouldn't vote to give him the permission to do it, but he's obligated to come to Congress.
Factually incorrect. In fact, there is a young man who's done a little bit of his research, and he walks through a dizzying timeline of past military actions in which presidents did not go to Congress and ask for the okay for military action. Listen.
One of the dumbest arguments you can be making is that President Trump is conducting an unconstitutional, unauthorized, and illegal war against Iran. Check out the 1973 War Powers Act. It clearly allows the president to initiate military action even without a congressional authorization of war. In fact, the last time Congress even declared war was in 1942, but we as the United States have fought dozens of wars since 1942, even without congressional authorizations of war. This includes Korea in 1950, Bay of Pigs in 61, Vietnam in 64, Cambodia in 1970, Lebanon in 82, Grenada in 83, Panama in 89, Iraq in 91, Somalia in 93, Bosnia in 95, Kosovo in 99, Afghanistan in 2001, Libya in 2011, Syria in 2014, Yemen in 2015. In fact, during his presidency, it was Obama who authorized U.S. airstrikes in 7 different countries, even without congressional authorization: Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Pakistan, Somalia, Syria, and Yemen. President Trump doesn't require congressional approval to conduct military strikes in Iran because he has what's called Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, which shows that as Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. military, he has authority to use the U.S. military to protect American interests both at home and abroad. You know who used this? President Obama in 2011. He invoked it when he killed Osama bin Laden in 2011 in Pakistan. So the president is able to strike Iran based on the War Powers Resolution Act of 1973, the 2001 Authorization for Use of Military Force, the AMUF, and bizarrely enough, Article 51 of the UN Charter, which shows that we have an inherent right of individual or collective self-defense. So you don't have to agree or like with the president's decision to conduct airstrikes in Iran, but to pretend that it's unconstitutional is simply divorced from reality. Send this to a liberal who needs to hear it.
I know, right? You want to slow him down a little bit, but he squeezed a lot into a minute and 31 seconds right there. Senator Tim Shea, himself a Navy SEAL, says, you know what? This is the first president who's had the huevos to kill the bastards. Listen.
You know, where were there calls to protect American service members when our embassy was captured, when our boats were captured under the Obama administration, when our servicemen were captured and tortured, skinned to death on camera, when our servicemen have been murdered by the hundreds, by the thousands, by the Iranian regime, and the response from the Susan Rices and the Ben Rhodes and the Jake Sullivans was to send billions of dollars in cash to the Iranians and begging them to please stop being mean to us, please stop being mean to the free world. And what did they do in return? They launched rockets. They launched the October 7th attacks and literally brutally tortured and murdered families in front of their family members. Every time we give them an inch, they take a mile and they kill more people. So if they're so worried about protecting American servicemen, Aisha, they should be supporting exactly what's going on right now, because the American servicemen are sick and tired of watching their brothers and sisters be slaughtered by the Iranian regime and nothing being done in response. And the President Trump is the first president ever in the history of this idiotic regime to finally stand up and kill these bastards for what they've been doing for us for far too long. So if we're going to protect American servicemen, this is the way to do it.
Right? What are you going to do? Let's negotiate. Let's meet. Let's work it out. Let's meet in the middle. No. There is no negotiating with crazy. Period. I want you to hear what Marco Rubio said to Maria Bartiromo over the weekend. And look, I don't know about you guys. I knew that Marco Rubio was very bright, but he says in a minute and a half here, he puts the exclamation point on this military offensive. Listen.
But if what they want is a secret program buried in the mountain where no one can see it and inspectors can only come when they say they can come, if that's what they want, then they're going to have big problems, because this is a dangerous, violent, radical regime. Not the Iranian people. We have no problem. We didn't hit Iranian people last night. We hit nuclear facilities. And if what they want is some secret program that looks nothing like the civil nuclear programs around the world, it looks a lot like you're trying to build a bomb, they're going to continue to have problems, not just with us, but with many other countries in the world.
Problems like what? What do you mean?
Like the problems they're facing right now. Listen, why do we have bases in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Qatar and UAE? All of those bases are there to help protect those countries from Iran. Why did Hezbollah exist? Because of Iran. What does Hamas exist? Because of Iran. How do the Houthis exist? Because of Iran. Who built the IEDs that maimed and killed American soldiers in Iraq? Iran. They're behind every problem in this region. They are the sole source of instability in the entire Middle East, and the world's been paying a price for this for 40-something years. Imagine those people having a nuclear weapon, just one nuclear weapon, or even the capability to being on the threshold of having a nuclear weapon. That's what the world was facing. That is unacceptable. President Trump did the world a favor last night, and now Iran should sort of wake up, the Iranian regime should wake up and say, okay, if we really want nuclear energy in our country, there's a way to do it. That offer's still there. We're prepared to talk to them tomorrow and start working on that. Steve Witkoff has traveled extensively around the world trying to reach that deal with them, but they play too many games. They play way too many games, and now they found out.
They play too many games. They don't do what they say. And now they found out. You know, I'm struck by what Barack Obama's first international trip was after he was inaugurated in 2009. Eight. He went around the world to apologize for America and for American history. You know where President Trump went? He went to Saudi Arabia. He went to Qatar. He went to United Arab Emirates. Why do you suppose? Do you think maybe this has been in the works for the better part of 8 months? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, how are Iranians responding to the destruction of the terrorist regime that held their people hostage for nearly half a century? And by the way, Deranged Muppet says on the live stream, 47 years of war, 47 took them out. Amen. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. There's a great point, Deranged Muppet. Needed to call you out on the radio and on the live stream because you are 100% correct. All right, let me tell you guys about MCT Wellness. This is the drink that I drink. This is the drink that I drink when I'm drinking water. It's a scoop of powder. It's innocuous. It tastes fantastic. It's not expensive. But what it does is pretty interesting. And what it does is it talks to your body and says, hey, how about you dump those extra calories that you're holding on to so we can start losing the meaningful weight we want to. This is what Dr. Gundry invented. This is what he took to lose 70 pounds. This is what he said he's seen thousands of people do with phenomenal results. If you have significant weight to lose, this is a dietary supplement. It is a drink, powder form. If you're already just drinking water, why wouldn't you go and say, all right, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Get me a scoop of this every single day in a bottle of water or two, and watch what happens to your appetite. Watch what happens to your cravings. Watch what happens to your scale. Because that's what happened to Dr. Gundry. He wouldn't put this on the market if he didn't know that it works and if he didn't want you to try it. This is what it looks like. You get it by going to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. All three flavors are delicious. Just got to say, though blueberry is superior. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. I drink it every day. And I will tell you, it gets me through the show, and I'm not hungry until probably right before dinner time. So it works. Period. All right, guys. What else is going on? Brock, what else is going on?
Nothing.
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 Well, it's so curious because we were paying attention last week. Remember when we brought it up? Like, where's all the news? Where's the vacuum of news? Like, it's sucked out. There was nothing going on. And when there's nothing going on, that means there's something big that's brewing.
I just hate that they're so quick to come out and say how horrible this is.
Who's they? And the Democrats?
The Democrats and the media. And they question everything he does. And they act like we don't have the Wayback Machine. For when Nancy Pelosi had no problem with Barack Obama dropping bombs.
100%.
They have no problems with any legal or illegal thing Barack Obama did or Joe Biden did. But as soon as Donald Trump does it, oh, hell breaks loose. Now they need to come to them. It's not what the law says.
But you know this already. You know who the good guy is, and you know who the bad people are. The guy who's saying, oh, look, I'm going to put my life on hold. I'm not going to get paid. I'm going to move away from all of my businesses so there's no conflict of interest. I'm going to dedicate 20 hours a day to you guys, probably 24, because God knows when the guy sleeps. I'm going to travel all over the world. I'm going to try to end wars. I'm going to try to bring down the prices that have been so outrageous because of what the Democrats have done. This is why I think this president needs to sit down with Generation Z and literally have a conversation. Look, you're going to be able to imagine, you're going to be able to realize the American dream. Stop being pessimistic. It's going to be okay. I know you've been through some stuff, but you know what? You haven't fought in a war, right?
Yeah.
You haven't fought in a war. We're trying to prevent that. We're trying to prevent that.
Explain the geopolitics of it. You know,
yes.
Explain
this is what happened, and this is what happened, and then this is what the leaders did before me, and this has how things got out of control. And by the way, we haven't even talked about all of the sex trafficking and all the other stuff that's going on, because all that's connected. Blah, 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 blah. And I would ask him, and I would say, look, as the mom of Generation Z boys, you gotta connect back with the young men of this country because they've left your reservation. They do not trust what is going on. They do not trust anything. And this is scary to me because in my life, in your life, I'm Generation X. When things have been confusing, I didn't really have anywhere to go. We didn't call home and talk to our parents about this because we were told we had to go out and get jobs and work. And then we had kids. We got married and we had kids. And you know what? We scrapped and we struggled and we sacrificed and we saved. We clipped coupons. We went without. We worked lousy shifts. We worked holidays and weekends. And I worked the morning news for how many years? Have you not watched? It's not like we were given this country on a silver platter. We're trying to give it to you. We see what the deep state has done. We're trying to eradicate them. We want to give you everything and more. But you got to trust us. We're working on it. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't wave a magic wand. And yes, the bombs that were dropped on Iran may stop some evil, but the process ahead is going to be long. It's going to be complicated. It's called fixing evil. It's deep. Stop bitching. Stop bitching. We're working on this. I want you to hear Brigitte Gabriel. You might be familiar with her. She's a national security analyst. She is an author. And she's on, I forget which program, but she's like, look, the response from the world, not from America, not from the people belly aching and boo-hooing and bitching, because that's what they do. Listen to the world, because the world tells you what is going on.
I'm monitoring world press. I'm monitoring the press in the Middle East. And you cannot believe the respect for America, the respect for President Trump all throughout the Arabic world, even including in Lebanon, where Hezbollah is headquartered. Even the majority of the Lebanese are rejoicing, of course not the Shiite Muslims, rejoicing of what President Trump did. This is a historic moment because Khomeini, the Ayatollah, the supreme leader, was so influential and an important figure in history. He was equivalent to Lenin or Joseph Stalin or Mao Zedong. And to take him out, this is changing reshaping the world. This is great news. And of course, the Iranians are celebrating worldwide. If you are a freedom-loving person anywhere throughout the world right now, you are rejoicing, unless you're a Democrat in the United States.
I heard this, yes, exactly, right? Unless you're a Democrat. Now, I heard this woman. She's a British-Iranian attorney. Her name is Alika Laban. And she was on Hannity Friday, I think, maybe Saturday night. And she absolutely obliterates the hypocrisy of the left's response to neutralizing the Ayatollah. Listen.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let me just say on behalf of 90 million Iranians who didn't have the opportunity to speak until now because they were muzzled, thank you to the United States. Thank you to the United States military. Thank you to the IDF, who are the only people who actually committed to this rescue operation when the rest of the world turned away. It is absolutely no surprise that the American left are against this operation, because for a long time they have been on the side of the terrorists ever since October 7th. Nothing new, nothing different. They've been trying to mask their narrative behind some type of pro-humanity rhetoric, when all along we can see what this is really about, which is their hatred for the West, and their hatred for the West has never been clearer in a situation where we are dealing with the worst atrocity of our time. And instead of standing behind the Iranian people who have been screaming for help while they have been massacred, instead they remained dead silent. And when this rescue operation was enforced, was the first time they spoke up. We're talking about the mayor of New York. We're talking about Congress people. This is the first time that they have spoken up, not to defend the Iranian people, but to defend the terrorists that have been massacring them. And that just tells you the greatest truth of all. That just tells you that the mask has finally fallen. These people who tried to lie to you, who tried to tell you that they were all about humanity, were lying from the beginning. And now the proof is as clear as day. It was never about humanity. It was never about human rights. It was always about hating the West. And that famous term that the communists once coined for those people, useful idiots, have never been clearer. Why? They're useful because they propagate communist and Islamist propaganda, and they're idiots because it is suicidal propaganda. While the mask has been dropped, the truth has been revealed, and the Iranian people and the rest of the world and civilization is now going to be free thanks to the United States and Israel.
Is this the real reason America attacked Iran and took down Maduro? Iran was China's low-cost fuel pump, which it needs to stay competitive in the artificial intelligence race. Oh, yeah. China and Iran. All of this points to China. What that means? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I see. Yes. Brock and I said the same thing. Iran used to be a vacation destination in the 70s. In my lifetime, I don't remember seeing images of Iran the way I did from, what was that, 1979, Brock?
Yeah.
A picture of 1979. It could have been downtown Havana.
Yeah.
Right? Because it
could have been any city.
It could have been downtown New York City, where everybody was actually dressed, and men wore suits and hats, skirts. And yes, and women were neat, and there was civility and what have you. Yeah, I don't remember that. But China and this whole artificial intelligence race, that's a huge part of this. And you're going to get, I think it's fascinating in this Discern report.
Before you say something nice, let me play devil's advocate for Generation Z. So we've seen both sides where we believe the government. right? And now we have the ability to look back and say, we have that look back to say, holy, they've been lying to us. Where I don't know, Gen Z's only seen the government lying to them. So they don't have that look back to say, I should have picked up on that. They've just seen the lying, period. Our generation got to see the beginnings of cell phones, not have cell phones, now depend on cell phone. They've only known one thing. So like, do I think they're soft? I do. But we have both sides to see, where Generation Z only knows their government to be shady. They don't know anything else.
You know what's interesting? I don't even know. I don't know. It's very disappointing.
It's frustrating to watch.
It's not. It's just, yes. It's frustrating not be.
And in fairness to what do we see from Generation Z? We see, because
college
what
protests and
the blue hair, the LG,
pro-Palestine.
I'm now gay, and it's gone up 40% since
everything.
Yeah,
it's like, but that's not their story. That's not this generation's story. I really believe. I believe in this generation, but I believe in my sons.
When am I supposed to clip 76 Patriot Girl?
Huh? I want to tell you guys quickly about Healthy Cell. And, after the age of 55, I don't know what it is about 55. It's my age now. But I didn't realize that your body stops doing things that it used to do kind of easily without you knowing about it. After 55, your body really can't absorb nutrients from pills like it used to. Weaker stomach acid, slower blood flow, and a thinner gut lining mean most of the pill multivitamin passes right through you. And so you never really get the benefits of it. So we might as well just flush money down the toilet. Well, then there's Healthy Cell. And Healthy Cell was like, well, what if we develop a different mechanism by which we deliver these vital supplements, vitamins, and minerals to people so that they have healthy hair, skin, and nails, so that they help control their blood sugar or their blood pressure, or they can get an immune kind of bubble around themselves, or there's a formula for joint health and mobility, for bone strength, for your eyes, right? For your vision. There are all these Healthy Cell formulations for you, but they deliver to you in a completely innovative way. And it's through a gel, like a micro gel, like you're sucking on a go-go squeeze or an applesauce or one of those pouches of something that your kids or grandkids would have. That's the way Healthy Cell gets its supplements into your system. Boom, it's 165% more absorbed than taking something orally by like a pill. And that is the success. That is the genius of healthycell.com. I take Focus and Recall. I think it absolutely clears away all the cobwebs for this program. I take it about 45 minutes before we go live every day, religiously. That every single day, that time. And I see the effects of it. And if I don't, I get a little. So whether you need to sleep better, you need to relax, you're worried about your bone density or your ability, mobility-wise, your joints and such, there is a Healthy Cell formula for you. And these are not drugs. These are nutraceuticals and things called adaptogens, things that are already out there with plants and otherwise. healthycell.com/Wendy. healthycell.com/Wendy. They give you a nice little 20% discount on your first order. I think you're going to really like this company. I have loved them. Absolutely love them.
I also think it's the thing that's changing a lot. And once again, I'm going to say this again in pseudo defense of Gen Z, is with this AI, you never know what's real and what's not real.
That's all I want to say is, like, whom do you trust?
I mean,
like, I know that I'm sure that my children think I'm just probably some right-wing sympathizer, boo-boo, just believes whatever Fox News says. And I listen and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's how I feel. No. No, the lies on our side are even more offensive to me. Where the people who are pretenders or are cowards. See, that's it. We've lived in this bubble of cowardice with people who pretend they're tough, right? They beat their chest, but they don't push the button. Trump pushes the button. He's like, oh, yeah, we've warned you. We've told you. We told the Iranian people, stay home for a while. Hunker down for a while. It's going to get gnarly. And those Iranian leaders gathered for breakfast together. Would there ever be a reason you'd ever all be together in the same room ever? No, but they did.
The arrogance.
They're used to getting away with it.
They're used to getting.
That's the deep state, guys. Right? That's Bill Clinton, the brazen, I never saw or did anything. They believe there will be no consequences until there are. Marco Rubio, they found out. Sorry. Oh, thank you. You like my sweatshirt. I do too. So yes, we have some of these left. WendyBellRadio.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
You told us when it could be time to panic. Well, is it time to panic? Well, let me just tell you, folks, it's never going to be time to panic because we're never going to give up. We're not going to give up on America. America's worth it. America is worth fighting for. America's worth not giving up. And while we have that attitude of not giving up, we are constantly going to be searching, strategizing, coming up with ways to prevail. We've got the basics. We have millions and millions of Americans that are fed up. Can't wait to do something about it. There will be a series of ideas that people come up with based on dealing with the fraud that we know we have to deal with. You're not alone. You're not a singular individual all by yourself out there trying to fight these people by yourself. There are 74 million plus and growing. We're not going to give up on America.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio program is live. A great joy and delight to always be with you. Did you know that 7 million of you have already downloaded our podcast onto your phones? 7 million and growing. Why don't you push us to 8? Wendy Bell Radio, search for it wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You know, I read an article about some of the larger 30,000 feet views of this president and Israel's attack on Iran over the weekend. And I stumbled upon a great article in discernreport.com, and I want to read it to you. It says, the real reason America attacked Iran and took down Nicolas Maduro. And the official story, this article says, is real, but it is incomplete. And I think it's certainly interesting to consider all of the tentacles of what this strike on the Ayatollah, the supreme leader, about 48 others of his regime, what this means, not just to the Middle East, but branching off into China, branching off into Russia. What does this mean? Operation Epic Fury's stated goals, this article submits: eliminating Iran's nuclear power, destroying its missile arsenal, degrading its proxy networks, and annihilating its navy. They're all legitimate grievances rooted in 47 years of Iranian hostility towards the United States. But it is just the surface layer of a much deeper strategic play. AI is the defining race of this century. Artificial intelligence will determine which nation controls the global economy, which nation commands military supremacy, and which one writes the rules of the coming era. Both Washington and Beijing understand this with total clarity, and every major foreign policy decision is now being filtered through that lens, whether it's stated publicly or not. Of course, artificial intelligence has to run on energy, massive amounts of energy. Training and running frontier AI models, it requires electricity on a civilian scale. As AI systems grow more powerful and become more embedded in every sector, that energy demand is going to compound. Whoever controls reliable, cheap energy is the one who's going to control the pace of artificial intelligence development. Iran was China's discount fuel pump. Despite American sanctions, Iran was exporting roughly 1.9 million barrels of oil per day, nearly all of it to China, at deep discounts, too, through shadow fleets designed to evade enforcement. Iran accounted for an estimated 15% of China's total crude imports, making it one of Beijing's most critical and convenient energy partners. And I really do encourage you guys to hang out, because in the next half hour, we found this great video. We broke it up into 3 or 4 chunks for you that really explains the strategic relevance, the importance of the Strait of Hormuz, which is this basically 20-mile corridor between Iran, Oman, and the UAE. And it is through that strait where an awful lot of this gas, this oil, is shipped. And Iran has been wanting to flex its muscles, and it's done an awful lot to lay landmines there, deep in the ocean and along the perimeter of along the border there of Iran. And they could, if they wanted to, and that is the concern, make any kind of shipping through the strait an absolute nightmare. That's going to have to be negotiated. The China-Iran relationship was pretty much a strategic hedge. It wasn't just a business deal. The 2021 Comprehensive Strategic Partnership committed China to $400 billion in Iranian investment over 25 years. Crucially, this gave China a sanctions-resistant, American-proof energy backstop, a lifeline specifically designed to function in a scenario where the U.S. tries to squeeze China's energy supply during a Taiwan confrontation. Operation Epic Fury just incinerated that hedge. You got to think about Venezuela. It was the other leg of the same strategy. The January 2026 capture of Nicolas Maduro, and the Trump administration's signal that Venezuela's vast oil reserves will be opened to American investment eliminated China's most promising alternative energy relationship in the Western Hemisphere. In 8 weeks, Washington moved against 2 of Beijing's most important energy lifelines simultaneously. And that's not a coincidence. It's coordinated strategy. The rare earth lever has now been flipped. China's dominance over rare earth minerals, processing nearly 90% of the elements essential for AI chips, has long been its most potent economic weapon. But a China scrambling for energy security is a China far more cautious about weaponizing rare earths. By exposing China's energy vulnerability, the U.S. has gained critical countervailing leverage in the very domain where Beijing held the most threatening cards. And so artificial intelligence isn't just the backdrop, it's the instrument. Did you hear what the president said about Anthropic's AI models? He said something about that. None of the usage in the military using Anthropic's AI models, reportedly used in the mission to capture Maduro, was making it the first large language model granted clearance for classified U.S. military operations. But Operation Epic Fury launched the same week. OpenAI signed over a $50 billion infrastructure deal with Amazon. The administration that launched this war thinks about AI dominance with the same urgency that it thinks about nuclear non-proliferation. So the strategic logic is coherent. The risks are severe. Iran is retaliating against U.S. bases, against Israel, against Gulf infrastructure. And that is where the Strait of Hormuz, through which 1/5 of the world's oil flows, has now become a war zone. Oil could spike to $130, maybe $150 a barrel. The region could spiral into broader conflict. The human costs are real and not yet fully counted. The gamble being made here, indeed, is enormous. And of course, this deserves a national debate that this article at discernreport.com says we're not having yet. The world is watching smoke rise over Tehran and debating the legality of a military strike, but almost nobody is talking about the civilizational bet buried inside of it. That AI dominance is worth fighting for, that energy architect is the prerequisite for winning the technology race, and that the opening moves of the AI century are being written right now in fire over Iran. Also makes you wonder why so much the president wants Greenland, which is sort of dropped off the face of the earth. Nobody talking about that anymore. Donald Trump is 8 steps ahead of all of this. I want you to hear Gordon Chang. He is an author and an expert on China. He's talking about how Trump's moves on Iran have really put China into a purposeful squeeze.
I believe that President Trump is going after the Chinese, and he's not doing it directly, but he is doing it indirectly, and he's cutting off their sources of support. Oil, for instance. Venezuela supplies maybe 3 to 4% of China's imported oil, but Iran was somewhere between 15 and 23%, depending on the year. And that's important because when you put those two numbers together, you get a significant portion of China's imported oil has now been taken off the board. Yeah. President Trump may allow the Venezuelans to sell oil to China, but not at the heavily discounted rates that China was benefiting from. And Chinese factories are now dependent on cheap oil. Well, they're not getting it anymore. If they get their oil, they're going to have to pay market prices.
Geez, it's almost like President Trump knew all of that, right? Well, now here's an interesting conversation. We're going to sidestep as we come back at the next half hour. We're going to talk about the Strait of Hormuz. And you're like, well, I don't even care about this. This is nowhere near me. Oh, you care about it. But what I want to talk about is the thing that the Democrats aren't talking about. Neither is the deep state. And that is the Save America Act. Where are we on that? Is it in a vacuum? Are you expected to just forget about it? Are you expected to believe that when the midterms come along in November 26, that, you know what, everything will be just fine? No, not at all. In fact, the House Freedom Caucus has put out a blistering ad, and it's not against the Democrats. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I love this. I got this from Olivia. Olivia wrote me and she said, hey, Wendy and Brock, first of all, I want to tell you how much I love Blood Flow 7. It is a total game changer. I no longer feel the need to take a nap or grab some caffeine at 2:00 most afternoons. I now sleep like a baby and I wake up totally refreshed. No more yawning. I have so much more energy. I missed taking Blood Flow 7 for a couple of days and I could feel the difference. 100%. 100%. Never again will I forget. I'm trying to get my husband to take it regularly too. What is it about Blood Flow 7 that is so amazing that I have literally put all of my eggs in this basket? It's how it makes you feel. Now, it took about 48 hours, maybe 72 hours for me to feel it. Some people say it takes them 2 weeks. Some people say it takes about 3. The minute the nitric oxide in these capsules connects with you, the minute you start feeling it, you never want it to stop because you have endurance, you have a stamina that as we get older, we wish we still had, and you have to admit wanes as you age. Get it back naturally. It's not a drug. It's not pharmaceuticals. This isn't a prescription. You're not going to get hooked. You will get hooked on how you feel, and that is good again, and you will sleep like a boulder. I will not go a day without it. This is my jam. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. If you trust me and you haven't tried it, why not? Juvenon has a 30% off sale right now. Wendy 30. So if you go to juvenon.com or bloodflow7.com/Wendy, all of their products are there. This one and the Alpha Gold Male, which is this just for men. Phenomenal. Testosterone. You boys need some help. We all do. Brock takes it. I won't go a day without it.
I think you noticed it right away because you work out she works out pretty hard. I mean, the first time I worked out with her, I got winded stretching. So, yeah, it's some serious. I think that's what makes the difference is I think you felt it faster because of your workouts.
There are just some days where you feel like you don't have it.
Yeah, I don't
there
nap
there were some days like I would go to the gym and I would tell Mary Beth, I'd be like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I can hardly make it. And I had to leave once and I had tears in my eyes because I was so fatigued I couldn't do it.
Did you ever have to leave with an ice pack? Because I did.
I'd been doing it for 15
That was the hardest
years
15-minute ride home.
You had to put them on the huevos too, didn't you? Sitting on a little pack of ice sure feels
the whole
nice.
way home.
Right? I will say that you never feel that beaten again. And I would say if there's something that you do that you just can't get through, take Bloodflow 7 for a week and then try it and then get in touch with me, wendybellradio@gmail.com. It's lights out. It's lights out. I need all the help I can get, right?
Don't we all?
Mm-hmm.
Don't act like you're special.
No.
We all need it.
No, you're right. You're right. Wow. Way to stomp on me. Hurtful, but okay. Jeez. The number of testimonials I get about Bloodflow 7, it's just off the grid. Just off the grid. World celebrating. You have Democrats bitching and complaining, saying the president is rogue. He's a dictator. He's a tyrant. It's just so preposterous, right? Well, we got to talk about this. The Save America Act. Where are we? This isn't complicated. This isn't some hand-wringing thing that's so hard to do. Like, I don't know. How am I going to? We were all expected to go get real IDs, weren't we? Didn't they put the squeeze on everybody? They're like, look, if you want to get on a plane, if you want to travel anywhere, you can't just have your regular passport. You can't just have your regular photo ID from your driver's license. You got to have this newfangled thing. And people are like, don't get the real ID. It's a scam. They're surveilling you. They already do. They know everything about you. They listen to your phone conversations. They know what's going on. They surveil you. Come on. Right? But this proving who you are. You're an American, right? That's beyond the pale. Well, House Freedom Caucus put out an ad already, putting the squeeze on the Republicans. Get it across the finish line, John Thune. What are you doing? Here is their ad. Wow.
The House Freedom Caucus led in passing the Save America Act in the House to require voter ID and citizenship to vote in federal elections. Now it goes to the Senate. You're going to hear the excuse that it needs 60 votes to pass there, but that's not true. Senate rules allow bringing the Save America Act to the floor at any time. If 51 Republicans show up, Democrats would have to filibuster, standing and talking, hour after hour, to block it. As long as Republicans show a backbone and stay united, Democrats will eventually run out of time to talk. Tell your senator to make the Democrats actually debate instead of just giving in to them. The House Freedom Caucus says the Senate should support President Trump and the House in passing this law essential to saving America. The Freedom Caucus Foundation is responsible for this ad.
They are, and the propaganda out there that is wrapped around this concept, this very basic concept that like 150 other countries espouse. Show who you are, prove who you are, and then you can vote. It's very basic. This is not complicated. Democrats want you to believe it is beyond the pale. Remember when Kamala Harris was like, you can't expect people just to go out to Kinko's and get photocopies of this stuff. I mean, it's outrageous. Really? What does this government put you through every April 15th? They crawl up your skirt. They fish through everything you do. If you make a mistake, it's knives out. You mean to tell us that proof of who you are is beyond? Well, this is the propaganda today from USA Today, just so we all know where it's coming from. And this is what it says. This is the head of this opinion piece. This guy named Chris Brennan wrote this article for USA Today. This is the title of his opinion piece. It says, voter ID laws are popular. Trump making it harder to vote isn't. Knock it off, Chris. Knock it off. Stop playing this game like, oh, it's so much. It's beyond the pale. The struggle, the trauma. It's embarrassing. Let's read together. Democrats in the U.S. Senate appear poised to defeat legislation pushed by President Donald Trump that could have made it harder, much harder, for millions of Americans to vote. But that's not enough. Democrats also have to win a messaging war with all voters about the so-called SAVE Act. And right now, the Republicans are winning that battle. This debate often gets simplified to be called voter ID, the idea that voters should have to show a valid government-issued photo identification at polling places before casting a ballot. The U.S. Constitution dictates that states run elections, and 36 states currently have voter ID laws. Trump couldn't care less about our Constitution. He wants to federalize elections so he can control the outcomes. Isn't that curious? Hey, Chris, can you tell me what happened in 2020? Did you think that was safe and secure? Do you think that one home with two people inside should be able to vote 12 times? Because that's what happened. Do you believe, Chris, that in America today, when the federal government says to states, we need to know how many people are voting in your state, and for that government, that system to say, screw off? No. Do you think maybe that makes people a little suspicious? Do you think that an infusion of hundreds of thousands of votes in the 11th hour of an election night, when 99% go to one candidate, 1% go to the other, do you think that makes people feel a little uncomfortable? Do you think that it makes sense, Chris, that for you to be able to get government benefits, that you should prove who you are, that you should have to work, that you should have to do one of something, because we, the people, do? This isn't some onerous thing. This isn't some making it harder to vote. This is the same old garbage every single year that anybody comes forward and says, you know what? I think it's kind of curious that anybody could be me, pretend to be me, and that my Secretary of State on election night changed the rules to make it easier for people who cannot be verified to have a vote. The same way the president said, you know what, to the people of Iran, we believe you shouldn't be terrorized, that your eyeballs shouldn't be gouged out if you wear makeup, or you shouldn't be murdered if your hijab slips and your hair is seen. It's just basic common sense. Knock it off, Chris. And the USA Today wonders why no one reads it. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about this, the Strait of Hormuz. What is it? Why do we care about it? Oh boy, this is a great explainer next. Stop it. Stop it. There could not be a simpler source of legislation. Prove who you are, that you're an American citizen to register to vote. Then before you go and cast your ballot, make sure you have a photo identification that shows who you are. That's it. That's it. And then every single time when you go to vote, it shouldn't be a hard thing for you to whip out that ID and say, here's who I am. Compare my signature with your signature on file. Thank you very much. Here's my vote. I hate everyone. How are you guys rumbling? Is anybody rumbling? I haven't been browbeating, and it's so important to us. 2.21. We normally are at 2.5 about now. Can we get anybody who hasn't clicked that thumbs up button? That helps us out so much. So much. Hi, Lloyd. Hi. Oh, we've got What's Up Canada in the house. Wayne is here. Hi, Maligator. Hi, Darius. Hi, Demanda. What's going on, Smiles and the big stinker? TZ Burton. Great to be with you guys. All right, so Rumble Wallet, I'm going to tell you about it briefly. You know, I have to talk about these things, but this is something that might appeal to somebody out there, and it might be you. If you download Rumble Wallet right now, you are going to, let's see, step away from the big banks for good. I'm telling you, the debanking of the president in 2021, right after January 6th, that was kind of a wake-up call for a lot of us. What if all of your money isn't safe where you have it? Well, you may have seen the controversies happening online lately. Censorship happening everywhere. Platforms controlling narratives, pushing the stuff they want us to see. Clearly, we've all walked through it. Still happening. Well, we need to fight back. This is one of the things we love about Rumble. They've given us a voice. They haven't restricted it. Right? And so we support them. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. You can buy and save digital assets there. You can buy metals there. It's not only a wallet to buy and to save, it also allows you to support your favorite creators here on Rumble. You can easily tip them with the click of a button. No fees. Rumble takes no cut. It's 100% from your account to the people you support. Wallet.rumble.com. You can search Rumble Wallet in the app stores. See if you're interested. I think it makes sense, but it's up to you. Wallet.rumble.com. There's so many things I don't understand out there. I think they kind of need you off your game so they can keep pulling things. The Strait of Hormuz, I had no idea. It's not that big, but it is extraordinarily pivotal. And Iran is like, yeah, about that. We're not so interested in you guys being able to transport stuff through there. So we're gonna kind of terrorize you. Well, how about that? Strait of Hormuz. Not sexy, but I love learning stuff. And we're gonna. All right, let's see if my browbeating helped. 2.35. See? I so appreciate that. 140 of you. 140 of them since Brock went to the bathroom rumbled.
Wow.
So now we need 150 more.
I leave and people start rumbling. I can leave more often.
But it's necessary for us. We so appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we've gotten clients because of you guys putting us on the leaderboard. I saw you on the leaderboard. Makes a difference.
There's one that's going to be joining us this week.
Yeah.
And I am extraordinarily.
I can't wait just because then I won't hear about it every other time. I've been hearing about before they were even talking about it. I heard about this. Am I lying?
No.
Is that fake news? Okay.
No.
Is that a new lip balm?
Yes. Burt's Bees. Burt's Bees. I got it with Demanda at Walmart.
Is it lip balm or is it lipstick?
It's lip.
Both.
Lip gloss. Lip oil. They call it lip oil.
Lip oil.
You know me. I'm addicted to that. I can't stop. Okay, so what did you like about this video that we're breaking down? I thought it was great. In fact, there's 2 videos, 4 clips.
I just think it's
so educational.
It's a lot of stuff that we don't understand in America because we're not there. Like we just get our oil, and as far as we know, we get our oil through the pipes. It's just a lot of detail that gives explanation to why I think the geopolitical side of it, because we're so engrossed in the Democrats and Republicans that we don't see the rest of the world necessarily. Because the rest of the world comes to us.
RW Radical, thanks for rumbling. 80 to go. Look at you, 80 to go.
I get sucked into these kind of things.
I do too.
Because I want to learn.
I think it's
try to
super
understand.
interesting. Delighted to be with you guys. Okay, so let's talk about this Strait of Hormuz. And I think what we've all seen, and again, I hate always going back to COVID. But, you know, I think about where I was in my life before that moment on Palm Sunday where I had my Acme frying pan to the face moment. Whatever your moment was where you realized that your government was lying to you, that what they told you was going on was almost never what was going on, that it was all a desperate and craven attempt to stay in charge, in power, to be insulated from the world finding out whatever nefarious things people in Congress were up to. And I think if you and I knew, I think we'd be disturbed for the rest of our lives. But it was power and money. It was COVID for me. I watched a little tyrant in a jerk of a governor, Tom Wolf, a little nothing zero, and now the heir apparent Josh Shapiro in my Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. These are small people who got really, really big for their britches and waved their magic wands of emergency authorization and powers like they were kings. And it was something to watch. Their little Gestapos, the health departments that would knock on doors and threaten business owners. We'll shut you down. We'll take away your licensing. We'll take away your insurance. We'll make your life a living hell. I was like, holy cow. This is not a government for the people. This is a government desperate to stay in charge, to stay insulated forever. A lot of power moves through this Strait of Hormuz. And it's very curious because Iran controls the northern side of the strait. Oman controls the southern side and the main shipping lanes that go through there, usually on the Omani territorial waters, but part of them are on the Iranian side. And this delicate balance threatens to disrupt so much of the world through the transport of goods and so, but mostly oil. I want you to hear this great explainer. This first segment on the massive economic ripple effect that Iran shutting down the Strait of Hormuz would have on countries around the world. Listen and learn the way I did.
First, let's understand what the Strait of Hormuz actually is. It is a small area of just 33 kilometers located between Iran, Oman, and the UAE. It is a narrow sea passage through which almost 20% of the world's oil supply flows, nearly 17 million barrels every day. This oil comes from 8 countries located in the Persian Gulf, including including Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE for the United Arab Emirates. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Qatar, 90% of their oil exports pass through this narrow route to reach the rest of the world. If Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz, following countries will suffer the most damage. First is India, because it imports 85% of its oil, and 60% of that comes from Middle Eastern countries like Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and the UAE. Fuel prices in India would skyrocket, and as a result, everything related to oil and all industries would face severe disruption. Industries could shut down, there would be job losses, and the economy would be severely affected.
It's almost like what happened here in the United States under Joe Biden, when on day one of his alleged administration, he shut down the Keystone XL pipeline. What did he do? He drained the strategic petroleum reserves. And what happened to gas prices? You guys remember ever sitting in line before to fill up? If you weren't a product of the 1970s, you probably don't ever remember that, but that's what we did. And gas prices shot through the roof. $5 a gallon here in my Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That's what happened. That's exactly what would happen if Iran was given the ability to control what goes through the strait. Now, who owns the strait? Is it governed by one country or another? It isn't. It's governed by international maritime law, which guarantees transit passage to other nations, though Iran and Oman both claim authority up to 12 nautical miles from their coasts. Well, the second part, nearly 20% of the world's oil supply traveling through this narrow 20-mile passageway. Iran has a large arsenal of sea mines, coastal anti-ship missiles, fast attack boats, drones, and submarines, which it can use to threaten or to damage ships trying to pass through the narrow strait. We're going to tell you about the potential nightmare that could cause in a minute. But first, any obstruction of the strait, which restricts the passage of oil, will immediately also affect not just India, but China, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and listen.
The second most affected country would be China. China is the world's largest oil importer, bringing in 10 million barrels of oil every day. 40% of China's oil imports pass through this Strait of Hormuz. Although China has built oil pipelines with Russia and Central Asia, they don't even fulfill 20% of its energy needs. So, if the Strait of Hormuz is blocked, China's economy could suffer a massive blow. And if China's economy is shaken, its effects will be felt all over the world. The third most affected country would be Japan, as it imports 90% of its oil, and 75% of that passes through the Strait of Hormuz. The fourth most affected country would be Saudi Arabia. 80 to 90% of Saudi Arabia's oil goes to the rest of the world through Strait of Hormuz, while only 10% goes to Europe via its Red Sea coastline. So if this choke point is blocked, Saudi Arabia's economy will be heavily impacted. Imagine that a country suddenly loses 80 to 90% of its revenue. What would happen to it? Something similar could happen to Saudi Arabia. There's also a high chance that Saudi Arabia might send in its military to reopen the route, and that could make the situation even worse.
You know, and this is interesting. If the Iranians choke off the Strait of Hormuz, this video tells you about the ripple effect across the world. What will happen? Crude oil prices will go through the roof. Inflation will go through the roof. It's kind of like, oh, I don't know what you and I have suffered through, what our precious Generation Z doesn't realize the Democrats and the deep state rhinos as well have squeezed us with. We're going to make everything more complicated. We're going to choke off under the guise of what? Climate, green climate nonsense and protecting the environment, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to choke off your access to oil. We're going to import it from other places, even though underneath our feet is at least 200 years supply. And last time I checked, I'm not so sure the earth stops generating it, right? We're going to shut it down. And what's going to happen? You are going to be choked. Price is going to go through the roof. Supply and demand is going to go crazy. Shelves, what happened? We stopped seeing things. Baby formula became almost non-existent like that. What do you think is going to happen with the rest of the world? Audio soundbite number 3. Any impact on the oil supply that comes from Iran or any of the countries in the Middle East will impact every single country on Earth.
Fifth is Pakistan, which gets about 90% of its oil through the Strait of Hormuz. This oil meets around 27% of the country's energy needs. So if the route is blocked, prices in Pakistan could rise sharply. But there's an interesting twist. Since Pakistan shares a border with Iran, and several government reports suggest that 35% of Pakistan's diesel comes unofficially from Iran. So if the strait is blocked, Pakistan might turn to Iran for oil, either quietly or through an official deal. Next in line is the UAE, because as nearly as 72% of its oil exports rely on this Strait of Hormuz. The country does have a backup option, the Habshan Fujairah pipeline, which allows it to bypass the strait and export up to 60% of its oil. But for a major economy like the UAE, losing the remaining 40% would still be a serious blow. Next comes the European countries like France, Germany and Italy, which on average get 10% of their oil through the Strait of Hormuz. A blockade here would hit them hard as well. Globally, experts warn that oil prices could soar past $150 a barrel, causing widespread inflation and possibly triggering a major global recession. So this small 33-kilometer area holds enough power to shake the entire world.
I remember having President Trump's first energy secretary on the program. Dan Brouillette was his name. And I remember talking to him and talking about President Trump when oil was down to like $35 a barrel. He's like, fill up the entire Strategic Petroleum Reserve. He wanted to get tankers all off the coast of the United States, loaded to the gills, as many barrels as possible. Congress said no. They gave him a squeeze. Why did Donald Trump know this? He who controls the oil, he who has access to a never-ending supply, the spigot doesn't stop, has the power. Is that why Joe Biden drained it all? To squeeze us? To make us needy? When you've got it underneath your feet? Made no sense. Well, all of this is connected to AI. Because oil and AI, artificial intelligence, are now being used at every stage of the oil and gas industry to find reserves, to run wells, to run pipelines more efficiently, to optimize refining and trading decisions. The Strait of Hormuz is the world's jugular vein. Listen.
What if Iran shuts down the Strait of Hormuz today and wipes trillions off the global economy in just 24 hours? You probably think the U.S. Navy would clear it in a day, but you're wrong. Iran just finished its smart control drills, deploying AI-guided sea mines and shore-to-sea missiles right here in a gap only 21 miles wide. This is the world's jugular vein. 1/5 of global oil and 20% of all LNG pass through this lethal choke point. If blocked, oil doesn't just go up, it doubles. We're talking $150 a barrel and global supply chains freezing completely. Within minutes of the first reported detonation, global shipping insurance would vanish, leaving thousands of massive tankers stranded at sea with nowhere to go and no protection. But can Iran actually hold the world hostage, or is this a suicide mission for the regime? The reality is Iran can't block it forever. The US military is already positioned for weeks-long operations. But the payoff for Iran isn't winning a war. It's the economic scars. If gas hit $10 a gallon tomorrow, who would you blame? Subscribe if you think the US should stay out of the Gulf. And remember, all it takes is one spark to find out.
Yeah, well, who would be blamed? Well, it'll all be blamed on President Trump, of course. That will be the end game. But of course, for people out there who think the attack on Iran was over and above what it should have been, they just wanted to enrich uranium for their own electricity or what have you. Really? You think that the country that developed an arsenal of sea mines, coastal anti-ship missiles, fast attack boats, drones, and submarines, you think they just wanted uranium cause? Okay. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, he says, look, this is not the start of a forever war. It's kind of the end of one. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
That was very educational to me this morning.
Oh, my goodness. I can't tell you that I knew much about that. And I'll say this, and this is why I say I'm a mom. Like, I'm worried most about what's going on in my own little nest here. It's hard to have a whole lot of geopolitical knowledge and look at the world and know all of these things. So when you stumble upon something and you're like, I know nothing about that. And then it teaches you, like, oh, okay, well, that makes a lot more sense. Oh, that's what, oh.
Someone needs to put together what's the just a bill on Capitol Hill for geopolitics.
Wouldn't that be lovely? Those videos were much like it.
Yeah, because all we think about is the Panama Canal.
Well, and they're also going through that right now.
Yes.
China there, and now you've got
Why was Trump so hell-bent on that? Well, I understand now.
Why is he looking at Greenland? Why does he want an iron dome or whatever, a golden dome? Kind of all makes sense. It's all working out. He's crazy. Right.
He's a Putin puppet.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's you. You're the Putin puppet.
I want to tell you guys about the Simkovich Concussion Institute. I've gotten probably next to Blood Flow 7, the sponsor of this program that I get the most testimonials about. Is the Simkovich Concussion Institute. And this is why I say to you, no matter where you live, to jot down the website, to jot down the phone number, because it's not just people who are injured in accidents or who got hurt in war or they've been hurt playing sports who need Dr. Simkovich. Having somebody who understands the brain and the various elements of your soft palate, the sphenoid process, a chiropractor whose hands move and pull and tug and push pieces that get dislodged inside of your soft palate, and he can feel them. He can feel where you're tender. He can sense where things are with his fingertips. How's that possible? Because he's dedicated his life to fixing people who've suffered traumatic brain injuries. And their intense protocol, this treatment program, this full immersion where they say, give me a block of time, give me 4 to 5 days, come here and give me 4 to 5 days, and I will get you fixed so that the 5th day when you leave, you'll have your life back. I've heard and read countless testimonials from people who said that's exactly what happened to them. They're from all over the country. All over the country. I think 36 people, 36 states represented from this program. Going to see Dr. Charles Simkovich at the Simkovich Concussion Institute. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com, 412-366-3700. 412-366-3700. We watched our friend go from this to this. That's the difference between holding a cup of coffee with one hand. Pretty remarkable. I love the Simkovich Concussion Institute. Appreciate them so much.
The one thing you have to appreciate about Trump, thanks to the Wayback Machine, is that his opinions on trade, China, Iran, have not changed in 30 years.
This isn't like...
Just think if he did this 30 years ago.
Yeah, he talked about it that long ago. No? I just think I'll never forget how Dan Brouillette was like, this president is just trying to get the approval to fill these things up from Congress, which was necessary, and Congress blocked him. Can you imagine your government being anti-American? That's exactly what we're dealing with. That's what... Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, it's interesting to pay attention to Dan Kane, General Kane. He is a 3.5-minute soundbite, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, where he literally goes in hour by hour. And at this hour, we did this. And at this hour, the B-2s left. And at this hour, they refueled. And then we did this. And then we used space for cyber command to launch a dizzying and disorienting, initial attack that scrambled their systems. It's sort of exactly like what they did with Venezuela. President Trump is showing the world, anybody who wants to fiddle, we've got the manpower, we've got the technology. We will destroy you. I will guarantee you that. It's not a threat, it is a guarantee. So why don't we work something out, right? Pete Hegseth said this is not the start of some forever war. We don't anticipate America's young men, who are over the age of 18 to be signed up and moving out to go fight this war. We're trying to end it before it begins. Do you not understand? Let us do our jobs.
To the media outlets and political left screaming endless wars, stop. This is not Iraq. This is not endless. I was there for both. Our generation knows better, and so does this president. He called the last 20 years of nation-building wars dumb, and he's right. This is the opposite. This operation is a clear, devastating, decisive mission. Destroy the missile threat, destroy the Navy, no nukes. Israel has clear missions as well, for which we are grateful. Capable partners, as we've said since the beginning, capable partners are good partners. Unlike so many of our traditional allies who wring their hands and clutch their pearls, hemming and hawing about the use of force.
Calling Israel a capable partner doesn't mean blinders are on with full faith in Benjamin Netanyahu, because I have grave questions about his role in October 7th. I wonder why there was nobody guarding the border. I wonder why so many people were allowed to be slaughtered, why it was allowed to be paraded and celebrated. I wondered that. Because clearly, if the United States was able to strike Iran over the weekend the way it did last year to do damage to its nuclear facilities, etc., only because of the intelligence of the Israeli military, you mean to tell me that the Israelis had no intelligence whatsoever about October 7th? Because I don't buy it. I don't. However, Pete Hegseth said, Israel is a capable partner. That doesn't mean we're going to be in bed with them forever. And your questions and mine are worth asking. Generation Z in the United States, I put this into Perplexity, one of the AI machines I use. And I said, tell me about Generation Z and views you see espoused about Israel, et cetera, et cetera. And this is what was given back to me. Generation Z in the United States is notably more critical and skeptical of Israel than older generations, with opinions sharply split and often polarized around the Gaza war. Generation Z is more likely than older voters to question whether Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish state and to view its Gaza campaign as unjust or as disproportionate. Heavy reliance on social media, especially TikTok and Instagram, where pro-Palestinian content vastly outnumbers pro-Israel content and often presents the conflict in stark moral terms, a strong social justice framing. Many young people see Gaza not as a technical foreign policy issue, but as a moral litmus test about colonialism and racism, state violence and human rights, and a deep distrust of institutions. Our youngest voters among us have deep distrust in the United States government, in the legacy media, in foreign policy establishment, which makes Generation Z more open to narratives that challenge traditional, bipartisan, pro-Israel positions. This is where people, perhaps like Nick Fuentes, who is a very vocal and successful voice for Generation Z, where he can attract a lot of people with the things that he says. Whom do you trust? Is my message to the youngest voters. A young man, a social media influencer who lives at home with his parents, which is fine, but who talks about geopolitics in a way that is disturbing. Or the 78-year-old president of the United States who's seen a lot more. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, do you guys believe Bill Clinton? He says he's never did anything wrong. Neither did Hillary. Well, somebody in his inner orbit says, not so fast there. Slick Willie next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Joe actually read this article to me. You guys familiar with the name Buzz Patterson?
Yeah, that's not sound, is it?
No, no. Bill is.
Yes.
Yes, but no. I don't think I underlined it, did I?
No, but it's highlighted. That's why. I wasn't sure.
Where is it? Oh, yeah. No. That's just for my eyes to grab him. I don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, well.
I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Where have I heard that before?
I know that much. I know I have to pee.
I think we can be hard on Generation Z because a lot of you and I fall in the same category where, we grew up and, you always see the videos out there that we drank from hoses, latchkey kids, where I think a lot of Gen Z has been, I don't know, coddled. I grew up with it, rub some dirt on it and move on. And we've been on both sides. I think we're the only I think generation, what are we, X, is the only one that's been on both sides of everything, We know what it's like to talk on a phone that's connected to the wall. We know what it's like to break open Encyclopedia Britannica, but also we're able to use the computer too. So I don't know, trying to understand the way Gen Z thinks, I think is tough for me, to be able to say, well, when I was a kid, I used to always hate, and that's part of the problem too, is I used to always hate when I was a kid, like, oh geez, here we go again. And this AI stuff, I look at stuff now and don't know if it's real or fake. And that's got to be tough. The only thing that was fake when I was a kid was porn, for God's sakes. That's not real. But now it's everything. Kate said to me what you said the other day. Did you see that plane that? And I'm like, that was AI. She's like, oh. She's like, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think my son Jack told me that. Yeah, he's like, yeah, that was AI. Game. Well, and then Joe was reading something that apparently Sidney Crosby was on The View. Did you see that?
Yeah, but no, he wasn't.
Of course he wasn't. But he's reading it and he's like, wow. And Jack's like, that's fake.
Yes.
And we're like, okay, well, how do you know what is real and what is fake anymore?
That's what I was saying about Gen Z. I can't.
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. It's the manipulation factor. That's why, who do you trust? Because I trust Pete Hegseth. I trust Raisin Kane. I trust Donald Trump. I trust Marco Rubio. If that makes me naive or foolish, so be it. But so far, they haven't led us wrong.
The nice thing is going back and look at Donald Trump. He said the same thing when he wasn't in politics, he said it. And now, what do we know? We know our politicians lie to us. But most Gen Z people only know Donald Trump from TV and president. So and they don't believe anything on TV.
So you hear me talk about Blood Flow 7. Juvenon has another product. It's called GLP Gold, GLP-1 Gold. Now, imagine a weight loss drug that does something similar to what the shots do for you, but it does it in a natural, less, well, it's not a pharmaceutical, what GLP-1 Gold is. The hormone called GLP-1 plays a major role in telling your brain that you're full and you need to stop eating, right? But if that doesn't fire right, if that's not working right, you could eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and just never feel the need to stop. Well, this what GLP-1 Gold does is it helps with that firing, with that triggering of that hormone that tells your body, I'm done. And so you feel full earlier than you might be, and you don't eat as much. Because I don't know about you, but not eating as much makes me lose weight. That's the story. That's the struggle. And Juvenon's, bloodflow7.com/Wendy is the site you'd go to. Wendy 30% off GLP-1 Gold. This comes in as a supplement designed to support natural GLP-1 pathways using plant extract. Plant extracts tied to appetite regulation, metabolic signaling, and blood sugar balance. It's all mumbo jumbo. The reality is you don't eat so much. And this is a huge alternative to the shots, which just sort of freak me out. So if you want to lose weight, try Juvenon, 30% off, Wendy 30. Go to bloodflow7.com/Wendy. It's called GLP-1 Gold. GLP-1 Gold. They've been having gangbusters with you guys over this, which is great. Don't you want to try something that's made from plants before you inject your body with something that you have no idea about the long-term effects? I would. Thanks for trusting us with that. I think you're going to love that product. Love it. All right. I have this feeling that my kids are going to think that I'm talking to them and I'm barking at them, and I'm not. When I talk about Gen Z.
Well, they are Gen Z.
I am, but this isn't directed towards them. It's a more...
Right. I think everybody gets that. It's like when we talk about Subaru drivers. Not everybody's a Subaru driver, has a kayak and a hair bun and skinny jeans. We get it. We also get the email saying, I drive a Subaru.
I'm not weird.
I'm not liberal.
People get really offended by that.
They do.
And I'm like, well, if you're not that person, then why would you be offended? It doesn't apply to you.
My brother drives a Subaru.
I'm going to ride him like a rented mule. Is it white?
No, it's blue. He doesn't have a kayak, though.
3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live and on the clock. You know what I heard from Bill Clinton on Friday as he put out a video proclaiming his innocence? I would never, ever do anything, ever. And you're like, okay, whatever. Right? I didn't inhale is telling us I never had sexual relations with that woman, or I never had sexual relations on that plane or on that island or on that ranch or any of the other times that I was with that convicted sexual deviant pedophile. Not me, right? And I'm so tired of the idea from some people in this world that they are untouchable, that they are insulated, that they will never be found guilty, that nobody will ever learn about their evils, and that there will never be any accountability. And they flaunt it, right? It's almost like the Ayatollah Khomeini, whatever, his whole group of people, 48 of them, and the Ayatollah together, boldly having breakfast together. Can you think about a worse idea right before, right? They'll never attack us during the day. Nobody attacks during the day. You can see things coming, right? Until you can't. Until the entire system is completely shocked and overloaded with a signal and everybody's like, what's going on? Oh, here comes the bomb. 49 of you are dead. They act with brazen insulation because they're so used to getting away with everything. Bill Clinton is so used to getting away with everything, isn't he? It's so offensive. Now, if you were on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 26 times, do you think it would be fair for people to assume that you're doing something kind of weird on that plane when you know there's a mattress in the back of it? And there have been allegations of sexual abuse, rape, and otherwise? I don't know. Maybe, but Bill Clinton thinks that, no, you silly goose. I want you to hear his video statement that he put out to the world, essentially. By the way, it's creepy. He looks awful, as though he needs an infusion of something, but he's so used to lying that it just kind of rolls right off the tongue.
The girls and women whose lives Jeffrey Epstein destroyed deserve not just justice, but healing. They've been waiting too long for both. Though my brief acquaintance with Epstein ended years before his crimes came to light, and though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication with what was truly going on, I offered the little I do know in the hopes that it would help prevent anything like this from ever happening again. I also have to say something personal. Republicans made Hillary testify yesterday, and she had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, nothing. She has no memory of ever even meeting him. She neither traveled with him nor visited any of his properties. So whether 10 people or 10,000 people were subpoenaed, including her, was simply not right. So here's what I told the committee. First, I had no idea of the crimes Epstein was committing. No matter how many photos they show of me, I have two things that at the end of the day matter far more than any interpretation of 20-year-old photos. I know what I saw, and more importantly, what I didn't see. And I know what I did, and more importantly, what I didn't do. I saw nothing and I did nothing wrong.
Believing Bill Clinton is like believing the Ayatollah that they weren't interested in developing nuclear weapons, right? We just want to come up with low cost and safe, clean, green electricity. Well, that's what we're doing. Well, why are you burying it 10 miles underground? Well, it's cooler down there and it gets a little warm here, so that's what we're doing. Okay, I never saw anything. I never did anything in my limited interactions. Dude, limited is not 26 trips on a plane. It's not multiple stops on, at the island or hanging out multiple years in a row with your family at the Zorro Ranch, where Jeffrey Epstein was creating, babies with his likeness. There is a diabolical, disgusting level of evil and darkness that there's a side of me I just don't want to know. But he was really galled that Hillary got dragged into this. Hey, Bill, when you used Monica Lewinsky as your humidor, I'm pretty sure you lost the right to finger wag anybody over dragging your witch of a wife through anything. You guys are dark incarnate, and anybody who's not fully aware of that is probably watching CNN. Enough questions? Yes. Okay? Spare us your vitriol and your anger and your innocence project. This is what he said. His videotaped whatever was his opening statement to the House Oversight. But he adds this to it. I saw nothing, and I did nothing wrong. As someone who grew up in a home with domestic abuse, not only would I not have flown on his plane if I had any inkling of what he was doing, even though there's this picture of me with Virginia Giuffre when she was 17, and my arm's pretty tight around her waist. But I mean, it was just, she was a nice kid. Whatever, we just took a quick picture. Not only did I not do anything wrong, right? I would have blown him in. I would have blown the whistle. I had long stopped associating with him by the time it came to light with his 2008 guilty plea. Since I am under oath, I will not falsely state that I'm looking forward to your questions, but I'm ready to answer them to the best of my abilities, consistent with the facts as I know them, the legitimate, the logical, and even the outlandish. With that, Mr. Chairman, fire away. This is a man who feels like he is untouchable. However, I want to read you something that's extraordinarily disturbing, and it comes from his senior military aide who served with President Clinton. His name is Buzz Patterson, who says he can personally debunk Clinton's claims that he did nothing. And I want to read this to you. It's from bizpackreview.com. Ex-senior military aide shares disturbing story about Bill Clinton's, quote, sexual predation after the Epstein deposition. He was so disgusted by what Bill Clinton had said and put out there on that video that Buzz Patterson had to chime in. During his Friday deposition, former President Bill Clinton insisted that he saw nothing and did nothing wrong while on board Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express. But a former top military aide revealed a disturbing incident that took place on another aircraft, Air Force One. Quote, as someone who grew up in a home with domestic abuse, not only would I have not flown on his plane if I had any inkling of what he was doing, I would have turned him in myself and led the call for justice for his crimes, Clinton said in his opening statement, which he posted to X. In response to the former president's insistence on his innocence, Buzz Patterson, who served as the ex-president's senior military aide when he was in office, a man in charge of the nuclear football containing the launch codes, shared what is likely just one of many tales of Mr. Clinton's lecherous behavior while airborne. To honor Bill Clinton's testimony under oath today, let me recount some of Bill's sexual predation. He's guilty AF. The retired United States Air Force Lieutenant Colonel began in a lengthy expose, recalling the episode when Slick Willie allegedly molested an Air Force One flight attendant. And this is what he said. When I was the Air Force military aide to President Clinton, I traveled with him everywhere. One night, we were returning to D.C., late after a long trip to Europe on Air Force One. We landed at Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland, like we always do, helicoptered on Marine One to the White House. We were all tired. It was around midnight when we landed on the South Lawn, Patterson wrote. After deplaning with the nuclear football in a few of the president's bags, I followed him to the residence elevator and ensured he was good before sending him up to bed. The presidential valets were ready to receive him, he continued. I headed to my bedroom in the East Wing. I was bushed. I showered and crawled into bed to fall asleep to the TV. Shortly thereafter, my phone rang, and it was the Air Force One presidential pilot, Buzz. We have a problem, he said. Oh, shite, I thought. Apparently, Clinton had cornered a female Air Force One steward in the galley and molested her, Patterson stated, a revelation that would shock absolutely nobody given the former president's reputation as an uncontrollable horn dog. She was young, a staff sergeant and married with children. I knew her. I liked her, and she was super sweet, he added. Now she was in tears and sitting in front of the Air Force One pilot and commander. I asked the pilot, a really good guy, what she wanted. He told me that she didn't want to be another bimbo. She wanted to remain in the Air Force and be promotable. Patterson recalled that the target of Bubba's unwanted advances only wanted an apology. All she wanted was an I'm sorry. She wanted it to go away. In the time of Monica Lewinsky, Paula Jones, and Kathleen Willey, this wasn't surprising to me, he wrote. It was, however, terribly disappointing and sad. I knew inherently that if I or anybody else in the military had done something similar, we would be at Fort Leavenworth breaking big rocks into little rocks. Yet here was the commander-in-chief, and all he was facing was the prospect of an apology. I was appalled. He explained that in the morning he went to the Oval Office to confront Clinton over the victim's allegation and request for an apology. I approached Clinton in the Oval Office. I'd arranged for his personal aide to be there too. He was nonplussed, quiet, but he didn't seem ashamed or embarrassed, Patterson wrote, adding that 2 weeks later, on their next trip, he got together with the then president on Air Force One and that Clinton only served up a half apology that lacked contrition. He didn't care. He was filling a square and covering his tracks. It was stunningly disappointing, he said, adding, if anyone in the military had done that, it would have been jail, expulsion, or both. It would have been Fort Leavenworth, but not for this president, not for this man. It was just another day. Yet another in my experience working for a man with absolutely no integrity and no moral fiber. Character matters in people, especially our leaders, and in Bill Clinton, there was none. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Congressman Tim Burchett with the, let's say, punctuation mark on that story. Maybe the truest words of the day, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Imagine feeling powerful to corner a woman in the, back near the lavatories or what have you, and do whatever you want to do. Like what Tara Reid says Joe Biden did to her. Insulated.
You did have the line of the day, though. No matter what sound there is, Bill using Monica as his humidor. Line of the day.
Let me tell you guys about Morgain's Fitness, MORGAINZ fitness.com. This is your time, no matter where you live, to go online, morgainsfitness.com. Click the big button that says 90 Ignite and get on the waiting list to get in with the 90-day program to get your body back, right? This isn't just, okay, you're going to have a sit-up and a salad every day. That's not what it is. It's about identifying the foods that you want to eat, identifying the foods you don't want to eat. And Kelly can do that with you. And then, if you've never lifted weights before, you've never exercised before, you've never gone to a gym before, and you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing, she's going to help you come up with the regimen that you can do at home in the privacy of your own home. And in 90 days, she's seen people lose 16 pounds of fat, 16 inches of zhuzh, right? And gain muscle mass and gain confidence. It's mind-bending, and it's at your fingertips right now. MORGAINZ fitness.com. Kelly is a veteran. She is a mom. She is an entrepreneur. She's a bodybuilder. She's struggled with weight. She understands the jam. She gets it. She'll get you onto the other side. MoreGainsFitness.com. How's everybody? Isn't it? It's the aura of untouchability that pisses me off. Because look what they did to the January Sixers. Look at the venom and the vengeance against anybody who supported this president. All because of what happened on June 16th, 2015. When that one man decided to come down the escalator and say, you know what? I think I can do better. And Americans agreed. 63 million of us. And that's why they hate you. And that's why there was 2020. And that's why there was January 6th. And that's why all those people got shafted. They could not. They tried to kill Trump. They did the next best thing. Take out the people who supported him. It's diabolical. It's diabolical. It's so disappointing. Right? 5,800, 2.77. We need 230 people to push us past the 3,000 mark. Can you help us? It's the thumbs up button underneath the video box. And then while you're there, hit the follow button. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit the follow button and be part of our journey to get towards 100,000 follows. We were hoping by April, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe by Father's Day. I don't know. But we'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. We hit 75 before we thought we would. I love you guys. Thank you. Former President Bill Clinton, who for some reason the Democrats have hailed as their almighty hero. I mean, wouldn't that whole episode have been disqualifying? Think of all the things that they tried to tell you about Donald Trump. He raped E. Jean Carroll. Really? That's as good as you've got? Because we've got actual evidence, DNA evidence. We got proof about your guy. And you still parade, you trot him out at Radio City Music Hall when you need a fundraiser. That's your guy? Really? Tim Burchett, congressman from Tennessee, he says it. He's like, look, the idea of what happened on that plane, at that island, at that ranch, this isn't about child trafficking. This is about rape.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. I woke up this morning thinking about some stuff, and it still kind of makes me angry. You know, I hear people saying, no, they're trafficking. Well, we got to get that straight. They're pimps. And when they say trafficking young kids for across state lines for sex with adults, no, they're not. They're selling these kids to get raped. I think we try to sanitize stuff. You know, in Hollywood, you know, shows the pimp and dressed in the fine clothes and the nice car and, you know, talking tough and all that. And that's all these people are. They're awful, awful, demonic people. And they deserve to burn in hell. And people say, oh, Burchett, you don't want to hang those people. The hell I don't. Bring them out to the farm. We'll take care of them. And I am not kidding you.
I voted for that. That's my kind of guy. Zero tolerance. I don't care what you say. No, unacceptable. Evil. Can we agree? Now, President Trump said something very interesting when he was in Corpus Christi, Texas, over the weekend. So he's out campaigning affordability. He's doing things in advance of the midterm elections. And with Justice Sam Alito apparently looking to retire, Trump is looking at his list. And he jokes about who he would like to see as perhaps the heir apparent, his nominee to take this spot. Listen to what he said.
And we have a senator who's really an amazing guy. I'm thinking about putting him in the Supreme Court. No, I'm thinking because it's very hard. You know, getting these nominations through is very tough. And he's the only guy I know. He'll get 100% of the Democrat vote, 100% of the Republican vote. They want to get him out of there. He is such a pain in the ass, but he's so good and so talented. Ted Cruz.
Know about that is that Ted Cruz had no idea that was going to happen. Ted Cruz is in the audience and he's like, wait, say what? So some reporter goes up to Cruz afterwards and they're like, so what do you think? And this is what Ted Cruz said. He said, hell no. And I'm like, I can understand. Like, do you want to be on the high court where things drag on forever, nothing happens quickly? Or do you want to be in the Senate where nothing happens quickly and everything drags on? Like, I don't know. Which one is it, Ted? So hell no. Cruz says he's not interested in the Supreme Court after Trump floats the idea of the nomination. President Donald Trump floated that idea. As you heard, Cruz responded to the president's comments on the Ruthless podcast by saying he was flattered but not really interested. Cruz says he has had some discussions with Trump about all 3 Supreme Court appointments that opened during the president's first term. But no, I don't think so. I don't know. There's that one side of me that thinks, oh, things happen much more quickly in the Senate. And then I'm like, no, they don't. It's ridiculous. Nothing happens. Nothing moves quickly. Nobody feels like they do anything. It's kind of how you feel about the Supreme Court. Seems like an easy fix to us. We'll see. But, President Trump, I've got another nomination. And you're going to hear from him next, in fact, on the Wendy Bell radio program. And what he says is the dizzying 5-minute breakdown of how far the left and the deep state has gone to destroy President Trump, who simply wants to make the world great again. Next on the Wendy Bell radio program. Tomorrow, I'm going to have to change the microphone battery, just so you know.
You want to change?
I don't want to change it now because it's still cool.
Oh.
It's still cool, but I'm thinking it's been a week. So we're going to soon. Just saying. How are you guys? Did we get to 3 yet? Let me see. No. 150 to go. Inching away. I love it.
There's a couple people I think would be good Supreme Court justices. I agree with you on who's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But why not a Ken Paxton? Someone that's a hardcore conservative with the proof, not an Amy Coney Barrett, with the proof to back it up.
Yeah, what was it about Amy Coney Barrett that was interesting? Like, I never understood that whole thing. But I do understand disinfectwithsniper.com. I used it all weekend long. I washed my car. I washed my kitchen. Jack made burgers on the griddle and on our stove, and that spit all over the place. So I used Knockout for that. That's part of the Disinfect with Sniper family. I know. Don't I look great? Hold on. Let's see if I can.
The only thing Sniper can't fix
is my nest. Hold on. If we want to be real about the monster, what's the name of the hair thing in Bugs Bunny again?
Gossamer.
Gossamer. You guys ready? If I was red, it would be Gossamer. So hold on. Anyway, I'm going to tell you about disinfectwithsniper.com because their stuff is fabulous, like my hairstyle right now. What do you think? That's not bad. How are you doing? Disinfectwithsniper.com. It kills germs. It kills odors. It's a fungal a fungicide. It fights against MRSA, parvovirus, SARS, COVID, athlete's foot, your regular cold and flu. Like, this is your spray, and you don't even have to wipe it up. Like, you don't even have to go back and you can spray and it zaps all of the germs. It's the best.
Literally have it in 5 rooms in my house.
Yes, I have it. I have one upstairs in my shower. I have one on the boys' side of the house. I have one in the kitchen. I have one in my car and one in the basement. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Both bathrooms for me, cigar room.
Yep.
Living room.
Truth. Oh, there's this little
kitchen.
There we go. That's much better. It's big and bushy,
Okay.
and I'm growing it out, so give me a break. What?
I just said okay.
Oh. And by the way, Ireland contracting. Let me see if I can. I don't like talking too much about Ireland contracting and Dan. Everyone's like, Dan, blah, blah. Dan's so great. Blah. And I'm like, okay, whatever. He is. We couldn't be happier with our new roof and our new shutters. Our project manager, Tim, was very knowledgeable and easy to reach out to when we had questions. The work crew, very nice, all courteous. Ireland delivered everything they promised. We highly recommend this company if you need a new roof. They were also competitively priced. Bing, bing, bing. Uh-oh, hold on. How about this one? Ireland contracting is the best. We had an issue where we had to have the old siding that began to succumb to the weather here in Western Pennsylvania. Made the decision to replace it on the entire house rather than to continue to piecemeal the repairs as we had done in the past. We contacted several contractors, but were very impressed with the services from Ireland and decided to use their services. We got excellent consultation from them on the siding type, shutter design, and the color that matched our brick. Materials came in short order. The crew they sent out was professional and courteous. The work that resulted was fantastic. I'm proud to drive up to our house without seeing the peeling and the mold damage, right? It's so nice. Yes, IrelandContracting.com, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com.
I thought for sure the hair would guess through 3K.
Oh, no. They've seen it enough. They don't care. I wouldn't either. You guys are smarter than that. Duh. So don't forget, there's always a little one. Don't forget Ghost Bed. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. I'm telling you, this is like that super expensive design at a middle price point. So some of these mattresses are like 4K, right? I think mine was 17. $1,700 to your door. $1,700 there. 101 night sleep night guarantee. And the one I love, the hybrid one, and you'll see it. I got it in a full. It is hard, like firm but yielding. Isn't that in like 7 movies? Isn't that what men say?
It's what I say.
That's what you say about what? I don't want to know. That's your private life.
Wow.
I don't want.
Wow, you're making me sound dirty.
I don't. Oh,
Look at that. Oh boy.
I'm just gonna let that sit there.
Jimmy, cut it off.
No.
I got scissors.
No. It obviously wants to be out. So you're gonna look at it. How are you guys? What's going on in your world? How did you guys feel when you woke up and saw the news that this attack had happened, that this strike had happened? I was very proud. I was very proud. Just thinking about what that regime did to their protesters.
Mm-hmm. And women.
This is the Wendy Bell radio program, and I am clearly Wendy. It's a delight to be with you. I am just so impressed with Eric Schmidt, the senator from Missouri. He was attorney general. He's a smart guy. He understands arguing the Constitution, pushing things that need to be pushed, defending other things that need to be defended. And I want you to hear something because I think it is such an appropriate, off-the-cuff explanation of what we're going through here in this country, what we've been through. Yeah, I've got Iran perhaps on the mind, but tell me how different Iran is from the deep state in America today, right? Trump has given them options. He's given them off-ramps. He's given them detours. He said, we could work together. We can do things. But they lie, and they subvert, and they cheat in elections, and they conceal evidence, and they destroy videos and terabytes of emails. And then they look at you and say, what? Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then at some point you realize enough is enough. Donald Trump is detonating bombs on the deep state. He's neutralized their sources of funding. He said to them, you know what? No mas. He's exposed their leaders by forcing them to choose the wrong side of every common sense issue. 80-10, 80-20 or 90-10 issue in this country. They show you who they are. But they're on the run. Because much like the Ayatollah and his gang of goons, There is now no more bench here for the deep state. Who are they going to go to? Amy Klobuchar, Chris Van Hollen, Chris Murphy, right? Eric Swalwell? Who are your heroes now? There is no money. There is no more messaging. There is no leader, period. I see so many parallels between what's going on in the Middle East and what's happening here in our country. And I thought this was a beautiful and just off of his tongue it rolled, Senator Schmidt, talking with Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi most recently was in a Senate hearing and they wanted her to discuss weaponization, et cetera, et cetera. And the Democrats were, rah, 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 rah. And so Schmidt just takes his 5 minutes. He doesn't ask Pam Bondi a single question. He just wants to remind everybody in the Senate room where we've been, what the deep state has put us through, the lies and the ridiculosity. And he begins with this. With no notes, he explains how the left created a plan to destroy Donald Trump. He says, as Trump worked to clean up the mess feckless former presidents and corrupt administrations created, we can't ever forget the degree to which they went to ruin his life and even kill him so that you would not find out.
I have to say, I am struck by the degree of the cognitive dissonance that I hear on the other side. It really is. I mean, I'm used to sort of the political debates and arguing in court and all those sorts of things. But to hear the other side of the dais talk about weaponization is truly shocking, given what we know now. And I thought what I might do is just tell a story. And these are 100% facts. Hillary Clinton, concerned about her email scandal, works with a Soros organization to cook up this Russiagate nonsense. They feed it to the intelligence agencies. And they spy, under Barack Obama's presidency, they spy on the political opponent, the Republican, running against Hillary Clinton. He gets elected. They continue the operation. And they launder this intelligence into stuff that was meant to, by the FBI and the CIA, to sideline a presidency of a duly elected president of the United States of America, to sideline him. And that continued. You heard even some people on this committee further that nonsense for 4 years. And then the FBI is involved with pre-bunking the Hunter Biden laptop story because they didn't want him to get elected again. So they pre-bunked the Hunter Biden laptop story. The American people should have been allowed to make their own judgments from that. They weren't, because the FBI called it a Russian hack and leak operation. They were meeting with social media companies every month and every week, telling them that the laptop that they knew, that they had verified in November of 2019, they knew was real and knew was his, said it was Russian disinformation. We've heard that before. And then, after Joe Biden comes in, 3 days in, they start a censorship campaign against the country, anybody who's a conservative. And now we also know that the FBI was weaponized in this Arctic frost investigation that tapped the phones of sitting U.S. senators. And also, the Republican Attorneys General Association, so let's pull in 2 more U.S. senators, Ashley Moody and myself, who were on the executive committee at that time. Charlie Kirk, political organizations they didn't agree with. This is not in the Soviet Union in the 1980s. This is in the United States of America in the last few years.
100%. I think what he said about the laptop was so poignant. The American people should have been able to make their own decisions about what they learned in that. And instead, you were lied to. It was hidden from you. Anybody who talked about it was vilified and demonized. And if you did, and you did on social media, you were punished. Because at that point, the government had infiltrated social media. Thank God for Elon Musk. Thank God for that. They lied to you about everything. And these are the people now who want you to believe them about this president's motivations in Iran. Really. He's cleaning up the mess these jackals created. Senator Schmidt continues and says all of that was only the appetizer. This was like batting practice. Next, you wanted to kill the man. The left never forgave Trump for what he did on June 16th, 2015, when he made that decision to go down that golden escalator.
And then, when they thought President Trump was on the run and there's no way people would elect him, and then he announces he's running for president. 3 days later, Jack Smith's appointed to get Trump. Fani Willis brings charges against President Trump, and the assistant prosecutor meets with the White House counsel's office. Why would that happen? Then you have Alvin Bragg bring his charges. The number 3 person at DOJ goes to work for him to get Trump. All in the United States of America. This continued, and Senator Hawley asked the question, wrote it down, what is happening in this country? And I hope that MSNBC is still broadcasting this, because I'm sure their viewership hasn't heard this story that's gone on for 10 years. The truth is, they never forgave President Trump for coming down the escalator at all. They didn't like him. They didn't like the disruption. And they've spent the better part of a decade not just going after him, but demonizing half the country as fascists and Nazis and threats to democracy.
100%. Think about what he said. There is a chunk of our country that doesn't know any of this. That they are completely in the chamber of the left's machine, where we determine what the news is, what the reality is, what the story is. We'll cover up anything we don't want you to know about. And when asked after the fact, after Joe Biden's alleged victory in 2020, when the whole fact about the laptop from hell came out, would it have changed your vote if you had known about the laptop? The vast majority of respondents said yes. They knew damn well what they were doing. And Senator Schmidt finishes with this. He says to Pam Bondi, you know, America voted for this president, and he wants you to clean up this weaponization. He wants you to mop up the mess. This has been a grand conspiracy, and the grand conspiracy must end.
They never forgave President Trump for coming down the escalator at all. They didn't like him. They didn't like the disruption. And they've spent the better part of a decade not just going after him, but demonizing half the country as fascists and Nazis and threats to democracy. And they have fueled this division in their inability to accept the fact that half of the country isn't deplorables, as Hillary Clinton called her, bitter clingers, as Barack Obama called them, or trash, as Joe Biden called them. That they rose up and they sat in their own jury box and they saw all this stuff play out over a decade and they rejected it. And now you have come in to clean that up, and you are doing a great job in doing that. And let me make this clear. There is a big difference between what happened under the Biden regime and the weaponization, and then holding those people accountable. That is not weaponization. If that doesn't happen, this will happen all over again. So your job, as you talked about in your confirmation hearing, is so important that this never happens again. And holding people accountable who are part of this conspiracy is absolutely your job. And I'm also taking, you don't have to comment on this, your unwillingness to answer questions that have come up. I am led to believe, as a former attorney general, that that might mean there's an ongoing investigation. You don't have to talk about it. The statute of limitations may have run on some of this stuff, but not on a conspiracy. And if you're a co-conspirator in mile marker 1, even if you want to get on the exit ramp in mile marker 5, you are liable for the conspiracy in mile marker 10. And we are at mile marker 10.
Mr. President, might I suggest Senator Eric Schmidt as a possible contender for Supreme Court Justice nominee. What he said there was so important. Exposing the deep state and all that they've done to this president is not weaponization, right? This will all happen again. If it isn't excised, if it isn't blasted across the airwaves, if somebody isn't freaking found guilty of something, this is all going to happen again, which is why the Ayatollah in Iran is dead today. 47 years. We don't have 47 years for the deep state to obfuscate, lie, build, plan, steal, cheat, kill, rape, or what have you. Period. I think you needed to hear that. I think I needed to hear it more. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Marco Rubio, a double dose of him. He said something 11 years ago as Barack Obama was getting us into this nuclear deal with Iran that was so telling. He had no idea. Next on the Wendy Bell radio program. I love him. What he said there was what connected to me, the parallels between what Trump is doing to nefarious, murderous regimes around the world and what he is doing here to dismantle the swamp and the deep state. And everybody is panicked. And everybody wants him to die to stop it, right? And think about the people who've already been killed. The assassination of Charlie Kirk said it all. That was a brutal awakening. Not like the shot at Butler wasn't, or the whack job lurking in the bushes at, Trump International or whatever, wasn't a wake up. But I was thinking about what the Ayatollah and the Iranian regime, 30,000 protesters they've killed. That was just recently. Think about all the other people who've been murdered. Think about all the other people who just disappeared. I mean, how is that any different than what the deep state did to us with COVID? It killed 1 million of our people. It killed 1 million of us. And then they planted the seeds to kill more of us down the road in perpetuity. It's diabolical. It's diabolical. And that people out there on the left don't see that? Or they would say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, whack job, echo chamber person. I'm like, really? Really? Bill Clinton and his disdain for anyone dragging his wife into this. Bitch, you dragged her in a long time ago when you started feeling up women on Air Force One, banging people here and there. Whatever you did, dude, that's on you. That's between you and your God. But there's a reason you look like almighty hellfire. And you know what? When he dies, I remember when Ronald Reagan died. It was a full week, you guys. I'm trying to figure out, was I on maternity leave? When did Reagan die? Because I was home for some reason and it was like wall to wall and I couldn't get enough of it. It was wild. I learned so much. 2004. Now?
Is that your knee?
No, I remember I saw a lot of it. And they'll try to prop Clinton up on some pedestal as being this or that. And I voted for the guy twice as a registered Republican. That's where I was in college, right? I think abortion was probably my number one thing. I thought it was all about a woman. You choose. No man can tell you what to do with your body. You go do you. I'll vote for that. And then I became a mom and I was like, you fool. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's amazing how growing up and having experiences teaches you a few things. Kind of changes how you feel, right?
When did Reagan die?
2004.
When?
June 5th.
Maybe you were on vacation.
No, we were moving. We were moving to our house. Maybe that's what it was. I'll never forget Nancy with that picture of her like this on his casket. I'm sure Hillary will be just like that. She'll be like,
I didn't know Lolita Express.
Like they have to be together because they protect each other. That's the only reason why. Marco Rubio laid out the case against the Iran nuclear deal, I really wasn't paying that much attention. I was busy with my family, trying to work a job and come home in between newscasts and take care of them and do this and that. And I didn't realize the way he realized what the Iran nuclear deal was all about. And I want to, it's so amazing to me because what he says in this audio soundbite, if you hit fast forward to today, it's like he predicted it. He said exactly what's going to happen. If you don't end this, if you don't stop this, if you don't prevent people who are shaky at all to begin with, and then the zealots, tyrants, dictators, kings, you give them levers of power to do things like enrich uranium, and then you want to deliver it to them with pallets of cash, and then you want to, with Biden, ease the sanctions on them. Do you not think we know what's going on? The deep state has never been pro-America. It's been pro-saving their ass. I want you to hear Marco Rubio. This was 11 years ago, 2015, as he addressed the Senate and urged against being a part of this Iranian nuclear deal.
Mr. President, I'll be brief. I know the senator from Tennessee would like to close on this matter. I think everything that needs to be said about the details of this deal have already been said. I do want to be recorded for history's purposes before I know what is going to happen in regards to this if it goes through. Iran will immediately use the money that it's receiving in sanctions relief to begin to build up its conventional capabilities. It will establish the most dominant military power in the region outside of the United States, and it will raise the price of us operating in the region. They're going to build anti-access capabilities, rockets capable of destroying our aircraft carriers and ships, continue to build these swift boats that are able to come on us, these fast boats that are able to swarm our naval assets. And they'll make it harder and harder for U.S. troops to be in the region. They'll also work with other terrorist groups in the region to target American servicemen and women. And they may or may not deny that they're involved, but they will target us and raise the price of our presence in the Middle East until they hope to completely pull us out of that region. They'll also continue to build long-range missiles, missiles capable of reaching the United States. Those are not affected by this deal, and they'll continue to build them as they've been doing. And then at some point in the near future, when the time is right, they will build a nuclear weapon. And they will do so because at that point they will know that they have become immune, that we will no longer be able to strike their nuclear program because the price of doing so will be too high. This is not just a work of imagination. It exists in the world today. It's called North Korea, where a lunatic possesses dozens of nuclear weapons and a long-range rocket that can already reach the United States. And we cannot do anything about it. An attack on North Korea today would result in an attack on Tokyo, or Seoul, or Guam, or Hawaii, or California. And so the world must now live with a lunatic in possession of nuclear weapons. And this is the goal Iran has as well, to reach a point where they become immune to any sort of credible military threat because the price of a military strike would be too high. And then they become an established nuclear weapons power. And never in the history of the world has such a regime ever possessed weapons so capable of destruction. Iran is led by a supreme leader who is a radical Shia cleric with an apocalyptic vision of the future. He is not a traditional geopolitical actor who makes decisions on the basis of borders or simply history or because of ambitions. He has an religious apocalyptic vision of the future, one that calls for triggering a conflict between the non-Muslim world and the Muslim world, one that he feels especially obligated to trigger. And he's going to possess nuclear weapons. This is the world that we are on the verge of leaving our children to inherit. And perhaps we ourselves will have to share in it. And so I want to be recorded for history's purposes, if nothing else, to say that those of us who opposed this deal understood where it would lead. And we are making a terrible mistake. And I fear that a passage of this deal will make it even harder for us to prevent it. And I hope that there is still time to change our minds. But here's the good news. Iran may have a supreme leader, but America does not. In this nation, we have a republic. And soon we will have new leaders, perhaps in this chamber, but also in the executive branch. And I pray that on their first day in office, they will reverse this deal and reimpose the sanctions and back them up with a credible threat of military force, or history will condemn us for not doing what needed to be done at this critical moment in the world's history. I yield the floor.
Right? Like, I want to say to the young generation out there, that is angry and confused and distrusting and skeptical and negative. You know, a lot of us haven't fought all this time the way Marco Rubio has. But we're awake and we're aware and we want to fight for you. How about you join us? How about that? How about we do this together? Thanks for being part of the program. I hope you come on back tomorrow. Bring a friend, okay? Thanks for being a part of the Wendy Bell Radio program. Peace.